So what I did, I built this carriage, right? It was absolutely perfect. And a fly flew underneath the microscope, a little fly, and the breeze from the fly's wings blew the whole thing away.
Oh my God, man. Caspervision. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Caspervision. Today is an incredible guest, known as the eighth wonder of the world, the world's best miniature artist, Dr. Willard Wigan. How you doing, mate?
Nice to be show, pal. Micro artist, micro.
Funny enough, on the way here, I was going to say to you, because a lot of people say miniature artist, but micro, because it's microscopic.
Yeah, I mean, people get the drift, but you know, it's microscopic.
It is, and when you say microscopic, like
my size.
Yeah.
My missus never says that. My missus never says that.
But the thing is, mate, in my head, right? Okay, I want to just express to the audience, people watching, how small this is, because to say that your sculptures are in the eye of a needle is it is so crazy to think about. And this is what I've said to you before. This isn't just like one of these, huge needles that you have like the big eye. This is like a standard needle,
like a sewing needle, sewing needle.
A small sewing needle.
Yeah.
Your standard.
Tiny needle.
Yeah.
And sometimes smaller. They go all different sizes.
But you've got an MBE.
I'll go real small. So you can't even get the thread through it most of the time.
I'm like that with a normal needle. But mate, I'm telling you, I've got to start from the beginning, because we have to, because otherwise my mind is going to be like a pinball machine asking you so many questions, and this podcast could literally go on for about a day.
Yeah.
Because we've spoken many times before, mate, before this, and we chat for about an hour each time, don't we?
Yeah.
But I suppose just talk us through how it got to that stage of where you're thinking, okay, I'm going to start making microscopic artwork.
That started with me, Ben. It started because of nature. Nature made me autistic. I was born that way. I started school 1962.
Yeah.
I was born 1957.
You only look 25, mate.
You do look young, mate.
Doesn't he?
Jesus.
Hey?
He's got good teeth as well, Willard. Good teeth,
I
mate.
used to hang out with Moses.
You look a little bit like him with a beard.
Yeah, that's it. There you are.
Yeah, man.
I've been to the promised land.
Yeah.
So, back then in the 60s, if you couldn't read or write very well, certain teachers would use you as an example of failure. I was one of these exhibits failure, because what they would do, you're the example.
Yeah.
To show other kids what not to become.
That's so shit, man. That sounds shit.
So it was like the only way I could explain it, right? I felt it's like my body was there. My mind isn't there because of how I was treated. Back then, they were allowed to put dunce hats on your head. They were allowed to humiliate you. Make you feel like you don't exist almost. You know what I mean? They would fracture your school
confidence.
life.
That's traumatic.
Confidence, everything.
Yeah,
mate.
that's so shit.
Yeah, not just fracture it. They didn't fracture mine. They broke it in half.
Yeah, man.
Basically.
Yeah.
But I was exhibited around the school. There's one teacher there. I remember first day I started school. You'd walk into the school hall and then you're into the class. First of all, you go into the playground and you associate with the rest of the kids. But I didn't think. I thought school was a place where you go to play with toys and things. I didn't quite understand what school was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand what it's about. I just thought, you go there and have a play. I saw loads of kids running around. I thought, yeah, it's to play with kids, So I was just, there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. I'm there. But I remember when the teachers came to put a little badge on us, you know, so they know you, so you know your name.
Oh, right, yeah.
Put this little badge on you, you know, and I clipped the badge on me, and I was just walking around, and I felt a bit strange because I just don't know what it was. I just didn't feel right there.
Right.
And I remember just looking around, basically. I remember going to the bottom of the playground and looking at the ground, you know. I was always picking up bits of grass and looking at bits of grass, you know, looking at the leaves, looking at the veins in the leaves and things. I was, you know, from that day, I was always picking little things up and looking at them, you know. I'd sort of pick something up and, you know, look at it.
Just attention to detail, looking at the finer details
I was
of life.
looking at lots of little things, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember when the school teacher said, "Oh, you got to go into class now." You know, went into the class, and first of all, you know, they give you a little play pit, you know, with a bit of sand in there and some little plastic soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, these soldiers not even good enough to go in Poundland. That's how bad they were. You know, and the kids were playing with them, and I was picking them up and looking at them, and you know, just sort of
just like a blob of
plastic. There was one that was a dinosaur, plastic dinosaur.
Yeah.
I remember picking it up and going like that to myself, you know.
Yeah.
Because I loved one of my favourite films was The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Right. Never seen
You know,
it.
Never seen it.
Sort of Harry Eisenhower, sort of where the monsters move.
Yeah. Slow animation, like 10 frames per second.
Like, you know, like the King Kong movement, you know.
Yeah.
I was fascinated with this little dinosaur. I was playing with it, you know what I mean? And, you know, I thought, school, this is what school's about, you know, playing with things, you know. I remember I went into the classroom and I was just sitting down and looking around and, you know, and after I was already in the classroom anyway, but sorry, the actual sandpit was in the classroom. So, you was just getting familiarising you with school. That's what they were doing, you know. So I was just trying to fit in, you know, and looking around but you know, it's like my body was there, my mind wasn't. I didn't really want to be in school, you know. After a bit, I just didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the teachers came over to me and says, "Can you spell your name?" And she pointed at my name. "There's your name. Can you spell your name?" And I didn't say much. So, you know, a few days after, you know, you go into your lessons and, you know, you're learning to spell your name and you're learning to write and whatever you're doing. And, you know, I couldn't write to save my life. I used to just make little marks on the exercise book, you know, like little squiggly lines.
Just pretend.
Or I'd draw like a little man or something.
Yeah. Just
or
pretending.
I'd draw a little dog.
Yeah.
I'd draw a dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and as far as I'm concerned, that's writing to me, you know. So I remember the school teacher looked at what I was doing and said, "Can you spell your name?" You know, it's a bit like bloody Oliver Twist, you know.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Like female version.
Yeah.
Can you spell your name? You know?
What was her name again?
Well, the bully teacher, the one that used to bully me, her name was Mrs. Adams.
Right.
Yeah, Miss Adams, we called it. She was the bully.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak my mind. And there was another teacher called Miss Lucas, who was another bully. And there was the headmistress at the time. There was a headmistress there called Mrs. Catamole. You know, and they weren't good. They weren't good. They didn't understand that all kids. You see, one thing about school, they wanted to put you in a category of all of you are the same. You must all do as I do.
Yeah, like machines.
All curriculum tells you to do.
Yeah.
You must all be the same.
Yeah.
I don't think they understood that there's variations in people.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
They still don't now, Willard, I don't think, mate. They still you know, the teaching system now is really outdated, isn't it? You know, they're basically teaching people to become factory workers, aren't they?
Yeah, man.
You know, because that's where the curriculum came from. You know, the Industrial Revolution, and They're still doing it now. It's so outdated.
Yeah, you're right. And the way it is, Ben, right? I look at it this way. School should be like a laboratory. They should experiment on what kids are good at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's what Elon Musk says. Elon Musk says he's didn't he
do that somewhere?
He's starting a school, or he's got a school in his wherever in world that he's in, and he actually focuses on like what kids are good at and amplifies what they're naturally good at and like what they enjoy to do. Yeah.
You got it there, Ben. You got it there. Because you see what it is. Not every kid is the same.
Yeah.
We all learn. I have a learning difference, which means I learn different to everybody else, to other kids. You know, I was one of these kids that would look at things and not read academic things. I'd just read people. I'd look at the trees and
you're an observer.
That was my education.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd look at the grass and that was my education.
Yeah. Your learning is observing.
Observe it, nice one.
Yeah.
So I tie my shoelaces. Yeah, and I learnt manners. Thank you and please.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Oh, absolutely, mate. It's amazing how like if somebody knows their thank you and their please, it's amazing just that alone. The basics, fundamental basics, can get you.
That's one of my pet hates with my own kids. When they don't use their manners, mate. I fucking hate it. It's like, oi!
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, the word please is very important.
Yeah.
It's very important. Without that word, there's a problem. There's a problem because, it's like you're demanding something. Can I have that?
Yeah.
Give it me.
It's funny because when my missus came over to England, because she's from Venezuela, and their language, when they ask, like if you go to a restaurant, they don't, in their language, they don't naturally say, "Can I have this, please?"
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So when we got to like a restaurant,
and she was like,
and she was looking at she'd be looking at the menu, and she'd be like, tagliatelle, one wine, so and so. I'd be like, baby, you've got to say.
I'm just going to plug some power into this computer.
Oh, right, okay, go on then.
So it doesn't go.
Quickest podcast in the world. But so I used to say to her, I'd be like, babe, you can't. She goes, what? This is not what we do. But now, like, she's obviously adjusted, and she now says, please, thank you, anything like that, because.
But that was hilarious.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable. Yeah,
I'd just be like that.
It's amazing though how something so simple like a please and a thank you, if it's not there, it's just like, oh shit. So you have to sorry for people,
Yeah. I mean, if someone says, "Can I give me that? Give me that." You automatically look at the person, don't you? You start looking at them.
Yeah.
So who the fuck are you asking me to give you that?
Yeah. Did you ever get caned in school?
Yeah, well, I'm going to sort of come back to that little bit.
Okay.
Where we last left off before I put the charger on the laptop. You see, there's a thing called caning, and there's a thing called humiliation.
Yeah.
And mental pain can sometimes be worse than physical pain.
Most of the time, mate, I would say.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
If someone's overweight, you say to them, you're fat, you're overweight, you look horrible. That can hurt them.
Yeah.
And if you say to them, if you went to the gym and you trained, you'd be able to lose some of that weight, and you'd be better off for it,
Yeah.
Then they think, oh, okay, because you just said something nice to them,
Yeah.
If you hit somebody, they'll just like, okay, you hit me, but
yeah, bruise can heal, can't it?
Yeah, but your mental pain is a bit worse, and sometimes can be worse than physical. So when this teacher, asked me to spell my name, I remember not being able to spell it. I just sort of squiggling things down a little bit, and it was like, I didn't want anybody to see what I was doing, so I kind of hid it because I started to feel the embarrassment.
Yeah.
I started to feel it. And then afterwards, I decided not to worry because, even at that age, I thought, well, it doesn't make any difference because I'm not. I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I couldn't. I knew I couldn't spell it, so I accepted I couldn't.
Right. Yeah.
So I accepted it. So it became. It's like a leak in a cul-de-sac now. I'm just,
Yeah. Just spinning.
Not
going anywhere. Yeah.
I'm not really going anywhere. So I started to accept that, and I started to think. To myself, well, at least I've got a dog at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Trying to find the brighter side of life.
Yeah.
I just thought, well, I got the dog at home, and I can breathe, I can talk. You know what I mean? I didn't really. I was one of these kids. I was quite clever at thinking about alternative ways to feel better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd think, oh well, I've got some apple crumble at home. So
you like a bit of apple crumble then, Willard?
Yeah, with some custard. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah, I've got some of that at home, so I'm all right with that. But when the real bad thing happened, when I remember, I would say about 3 to 4 weeks afterwards, 4 weeks after being in school, every day I'd go in and it would be, you're not listening to us. Are you listening?
Yeah.
Wigan? Then from Willard to Wigan.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. It's so impersonal that as well, using your surname.
Yeah. So then I remember I tried to. She said to me, "Can you? What's 2 and 2?
Yeah.
With the arithmetic stuff, whatever they call it." So I remember just doing 2 and then another 2.
Yeah.
And that said, right, come along with me. And she took me to the front of the class. Could I have your attention, children? And held my exercise book up. This is what happens if you don't listen to the teacher. You become Willard. And I thought,
it's fucking terrible, isn't it,
awful, mate? It's awful.
It's all over for me now.
It's really bad.
Then she decided to take me around the whole school. She'd knock on the door, on the school. Could I have your attention, children? And the kids would be, yes, Mrs. Adams, you know what I mean? And like stare at you. So all the kids are now looking at you, you see. And then she says, look how disgusting his work is. Look how disgusting it is. This is what happens if you don't listen to the teacher. You'll become Willard.
Bastards.
Right? Look how terrible. Look at him. Look how disgusting he is. And I thought, so that's it now. So I mean, the fracture now is broken.
Yeah. You just shut down.
Did the other pupils sort of take the piss out of you after that as well, or was it not that type of school? Was it more so the teachers?
Well, I'll tell you what it is, Ben. Right? I don't think most of the kids don't have that in them. It's adults that sort of program that into them. You see.
Yeah.
So, the kids were after the teachers said that about me. Now the kids are now looking at me now. See.
Yeah.
So I'm now the exhibit now of failure now.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Did they know about your situation, Willard?
Well, the autism.
Like with your autism.
Autism wasn't diagnosed in the 60s.
No. So nobody knew, or they
Nobody
just,
knew what it was. Nobody understood. You see, in the 60s, what they would do, they would crucify you mentally. They'd tell you that you're illiterate.
Yeah.
You're a dunce. That's it. So now you don't really exist.
No.
Really, your body's in school, your mind isn't there no more because it's all been fractured and shattered, and it's just all.
Because I know that you've told us that story, but I know that that's just one story in amongst of a 1,000 stories, right, in school. Because you had it tough. I know, because the thing is, what I've picked up on, mate, is, how old are you now?
I'm 65.
So 65 and something like that. Look, at the end of the day, you are where you are now. you're doing very well for yourself and you're world famous, everything like that. Like life is pretty good. But
there was a journey there. You see,
absolutely, yeah. But what I'm saying is, because you're talking about it, even to this day, it must have been so traumatic for you to be bringing up, to be talking about it. You know, it must have been.
It traumatized me so bad that I felt. I'll tell you what it does to you, right? It kind of you don't really you exist, but you don't exist in school.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
I don't exist at school.
I bet you used to fucking hate getting up in the morning, having to go to school, and every day you must have been like, oh my God.
Tell you what it was, right? It was like, I felt like I was in Hansel and Gretel. I felt like you're going to meet the witch from Hansel and Gretel. You're going to meet Miss Havisham from Great Expectations, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you're going to meet someone who's going to give you nightmares, you know? You're not.
What did your mum?
You know you're going to go back to the humiliation. You're going to go back to it.
Yeah, you're just waiting for the inevitable.
Yeah. So what happens, right? It got to the stage then where I just thought, do your worst.
Really?
But I didn't
just
say
became
it like
numb
that because I was too young to understand that.
You probably just became numb to it, right?
That's it. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Numb.
I just thought, okay then.
Comfortably numb.
Yeah.
So I stopped speaking then because I thought my voice ain't going to be accepted, so I don't need to speak. What do I need to speak for? So it's pointless in saying hello, all right.
Yeah, because you're going to get that. Well, yeah, it's like training. It's like training a pet or something like that. If you gotta get something back in order to receive. So if you're just getting constantly nothing back but negativity, what's the point?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But you see, the good thing about that, I had good schoolmates. You see.
Oh, well, at least you had good friends, mate. That's a good
schoolmates.
Thing. Yeah.
But one day I remember it just became too much because I remember she started telling the kids again about me, and I thought, you know what, I don't really need to be here now. So I thought, well, if I can run away a few times, I can at least find some kind of solitude, some tranquility. Because you see, what happened, right? I lost me. You see, I couldn't find me anymore. So I don't know where I was. I was somewhere, but I weren't in school. So I had to find that alternative, and alternative was to abscond a few times.
Yeah.
And that was when I realised then, not being in school was pretty good for me.
Yeah.
Because when I remember the teachers, my mum took me to school. My mum used to work part-time, so I was kind of lucky because I knew that she wasn't going to be at home when I got there.
Right.
Because, see, my mum is the type of woman you don't mess with, you see.
Right.
See, my mum.
Bloody hell, so you had a tough time at school, and then you got home and had a tough time with your mum, eh?
You see, my mum's the type of woman, right? If she threw a punch at you and it missed you, you'd get pneumonia off the draft. That's how hard my mum could hit. So, it's like I thought the opportunity come for me to run away. See, my mum went away, left me in the school playground with the kids and that, I remember just sneaking underneath the fence at the bottom of the playground. Just kind of waited for that moment. And I just decided to have a little run,
Yeah.
And where I used to live at the time, there was a nice big pond there, and there's fields and meadows and stuff, So I could see that pond there, so I thought I'm going to run towards the pond,
Nice, yeah. So you used to spend a lot of time
in nature. It was a
nice
sunny day, you could hear all the birds whistling away, like, that nice. You could smell the grass and the breeze, the summer breeze blowing in your face, and
yeah, man.
Just running, and I got towards this pond and I sat there looking into the water, looking into the pond. It was such a nice feeling, you know. And I remember seeing all these little pond creatures swimming around on the top of the water. And there's these things called whirly beetles and like little motorboats.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you seen them?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I found some entertainment because it was fast.
Yeah.
Could move quick, and I thought, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
And there's these pond skaters.
Yeah. Those with the big long legs.
Yeah, with the long legs. Yeah,
Yeah.
You could tell. I was watching them, and I was like, hey, this is nice. And you know what? That moment, Ben, I found me. Then I found something in myself. I was happy. I was like looking at these little things. And I remember saw another creature called a water boatman. Like another beetle that swims upside down. Have you seen it?
No, but I can imagine it.
It's called a water boatman. All the listeners will understand. No, most of them who understand, you know, wildlife and insects and stuff. They'll know what I'm talking about. So I used to watch this thing swimming, and I was like, and it became entertainment for me. I felt, what a nice feeling, you know. And I remember seeing at the edge of the pond, it went slightly more shallow.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it went a bit cloudy, and I saw this red-crested newt.
Oh,
yeah,
I love
sick.
newts, mate.
I love
yeah.
newts. Yeah.
I used to have a couple of pet newts.
Did you?
I used to call them. One of them. It was an orange flame, jet black newt, and I used to call it my newt, like, as in because it was small and it was
nice.
my newt.
Oh, nice, mate.
I got that one. But there's one called the red-crested newt, which is quite big.
Right.
They're protected now by law.
Wow.
Yeah, because there's not many of them around.
Okay.
And I saw him swim like that, and I thought, wow.
Yeah.
And it was like this fantastic feeling to see all this wildlife around me. Then I saw this blue brooch flying. I thought it was a brooch. And it was this very slim damselfly, like a dragonfly.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. They're amazing.
They're like a blue colour.
They're like electric blue, aren't they?
That's it. You got it.
Yeah, beautiful. Like kingfishers, same sort of colour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was watching it flying around, and I felt really good. I thought it made me so happy because I was like looking at my own little world.
Well, I was just going to say, it's probably looking in on something. It's almost like looking in on a community, a world that doesn't judge you. Right?
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Because
there's no expectations.
To me.
Yeah, there's no expectations. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
They're not going to say anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very happy. And then, you see, with me, I used to take things literally. If I see, like, I remember the pop group, the Beatles, the Beatles. And I kept thinking the reason why they're called the Beatles is because Beatles could sing, you see. That's what I used to think. I remember lifting up, you know, little bits of tree bark, whatever I could find on the floor, logs or stones or whatever. And I lift up this little piece of tree and I pulled it up and I saw a beetle, quite a big beetle. It was like a purple one. It was quite big. Not a stag beetle. It was one of those big garden beetles.
Yeah. And
I remember picking it up and I was looking at it like that. And I could see his mouth going. So I thought, he's singing, he must be singing.
You couldn't hear him, so you held him up to your ear.
He flies in your ear. Fucking
I tell you what, so I put it by my ear like that to see if I could hear him singing.
Yeah.
What is he saying?
Yeah, he's singing. And also,
we all live in a yellow submarine.
Probably singing Let It Be.
Brilliant.
So then I wasn't listening to see if I could hear anything. Then all of a sudden I felt this sharp nip on my ear.
Oh no.
So what I'd done, I put his jaws a bit too close to my ear and he bit my ear quite hard.
Oh my God.
And I picked him up like that. I was looking at him like that. And I thought, you know what I mean? I thought I didn't care about him biting my ears. I wanted him to be all right.
Yeah.
because when I was pulling him away, I could feel the tension because he was
Had a good
biting
chop.
my ear, you see.
Yeah.
I could feel him latching on.
Yeah.
So I remember loosening him slowly, and I put him down like that. And I thought perhaps you need one beetle wasn't enough, so you need 4 beetles to sing, you know.
Mate, if you got bit by a spider, you could be Spider-Man by now instead of Beetle Man.
Yeah, so what I did, Ben, I caught, altogether I got 4, but they weren't the same beetle; they're different species, you see.
Right. Yeah.
So he went off to his wife and kids, telling them all about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
He had a chunk out of Willard's ear.
Yeah. Because I used to believe they'd have little families, little Mrs. Beetle and all the little other beetles. You know, that's how my world was. You know.
How old were you again at this time?
I was about 6, 7, 8, round up there.
It's amazing how you remember in so much detail.
In memory,
Well, you see, what it is, what autism is a blessing in disguise, you see, Ben.
Yeah.
What happens, I can smell, I can remember when I was in a pram, I can remember when I was not even 1 year old.
Right.
And I remember looking up and seeing an aeroplane and seeing my mum feeding me with a bottle.
No way.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's
wow.
incredible.
I remember looking up into the air and seeing an aeroplane. And I remember my uncle giving me a bottle. I remember everything.
Jesus, man. That's crazy.
See, my early memories, I must have been...
Yesterday?
I've got... Not quite. I must have been about 3. And I was in a pram going to my nan's. And there was a little power station on the side of the road, like this little electric... It used to buzz. It used to go, when you went past it. And they were surrounded by like fences. Yeah. And I just thought that there was gorillas in there in the cage. And that's one of my earliest memories. I must have been about 3.
You thought aliens? Did you think aliens was in there?
No, gorillas.
Gorillas?
Yeah, I used to think there was gorillas in there. And I used to say to my mum, and then every time we walked past it, then she used to say, "Oh, the gorillas will get you." And I used to shit myself every time I went past there. But that's my earliest memory.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's probably 8 or 9. So I can't remember anything else. Before I was about 8 or 9.
Yeah. I think depending on what happens in your life, that's what sticks to your memory, you know?
Yeah.
It's just mundane things every day, but it's big, significant things in your life. That's what sinks in, you know, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, Ben, because there are little moments in your life that you remember. Mm. And so some you just forget because they're not worth remembering, and then there's some you hang on to.
Yeah.
But that bit there, like I said, I remember that bit. So I found these other little beetles, and so I had 4.
Yeah.
Caught them in my hand, and I sang to them, singing. No singing. So I put them down, and I couldn't understand why they wouldn't sing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, they must have. Why do they call the pop group the Beatles? They must be able to sing, and you know what I mean. That's that. The autism was playing havoc with me then.
Yeah.
Oh, they can sing. They must. And I end up singing to the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Singing
like yeah. Love you. Everybody saw me, the men in the white coats that took me away. They'd have put me in a straight jacket.
So that was when you started making little villages for.
Well, what happened after that? I was going to get to that bit.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to rush me.
No,
mate. We got all night.
That's all right.
We got all night.
You want the whole story, don't you? You're going to get it.
Yeah, man, definitely go for it. Right.
So I remember running across the field. I could see my house in the distance. Closer and closer I got to my house. And then I climbed over the fence. I was looking around to make sure, my mum weren't in the kitchen,
Yeah.
So I climbed over the fence and I hid in the shed at the back of the garden. Hmm. So I was in the shed, just sitting there like that, Just kind of sitting there. See if I can hear anything. And all of a sudden I heard, it's my dog.
Sorry, how did it go again?
No, I'm doing it again anyway. Willard. Willard.
Willard, yeah.
So he came to the shed, started scratching the shed. And we used to have a hole in the shed, so you could look through one of the notches had fallen out. You could look through and see the kitchen. My mum weren't there, gone to work. And then what happened, he had a ball in his mouth. We used to have this little tennis ball. Used to play with him, and he came with a tennis ball. I had the ball in my hand. And I bounced it, looking around. I knew it was all clear because my mum had gone to work. And I bounced it. The ball went over the next door neighbour's fence. And he ran to the fence and started digging, thinking he can dig a hole under the fence and go and get the ball.
Yeah.
As he'd done that, lots and lots of ants came out of the ground.
Oh, so he dug up an ant's nest.
He disturbed an ant's nest.
Right.
So when I saw that, it kind of upset me. I got upset because I kept thinking, oh, the ants have got nowhere to live and it's my fault. And, you know, the queen ant's got no palace and all the little baby ants have got nowhere to play. And you know, and then it's like the autism superpower started to kick in. You know, so I need to do something to help the ants because you know they're homeless and they'll have no. You know, and I really took it personal. You know what I mean, Ben?
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah.
This thing is, you know, it's personal to me now.
Yeah,
I need to help the ants because I kept thinking ants could talk. You know.
Yeah. Especially when you previously had such a connection with all that wildlife when you ran away from the school and you looked at all that, you know, and they weren't a threat to you or anything, you know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I kept thinking that they had little voices and they were like, you know, they'd cry and all that. You know what I mean? So I thought, so what I did, I thought I need to help them. So I went back in the 60s, people used to leave their door open. They never used to lock the doors.
Yeah,
because crime wasn't as much as what it is today.
Fuck it, what a different world, eh?
Unreal, mate. Imagine it.
That's why my dad says the 60s was the best. My dad says the 60s was the best.
Well, the 60s were good for music, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Some great musicians, great songwriters.
Yeah.
I think the best musical era was late 60s and early 70s. Not for the fashion, though.
Yeah. And a lot of them from Birmingham, mate.
Eh?
A lot of them from Birmingham.
Yeah, some of the top rock bands like Ozzy Osbourne and people like that.
Yeah.
So what happened? I got my dad. I went upstairs and I went to the bathroom. My dad used to have these blue Gillette razor blades.
Yeah.
And you used to have this thing that you turn, it opens up and you could get the blades out. So I took one of the blades out and what I did, I got a twig and pushed it into the razor blade and snapped a piece off. So in my hand now I've got a shard of razor blade. So that is going to be my tool that I'm going to use to build houses for ants.
Wow.
So I went downstairs, back to the top of the garden, and there was a dog looking at me, like that, looking, you know. So what I did, I started picking up bits of wood, you know, broken bits of, you know, I'd get bits of dried grass, pick up bits of wood, you know, break bits off the shed, wherever I found it, and started slicing little bits of wood into little beams and cutting little hinges in and pushing them together with their own friction.
No way.
And just building little houses, cutting out little entrance for the doors and the windows. Wow. You know, what I would do, I'd put these beams across and I'd cut out little sections for the windows.
Yeah.
But they were wedged together, you see. Then I started pulling out fibres out of my school uniform and tying little knots and, you know, just sort of...
Bloody hell.
Doing all that by hand as well.
Yeah. But, you know, I never thought it was anything special because I just thought anybody could do it. I didn't think it was anything...
Yeah, just normal to you.
Just had patience and concentration.
Yeah, it was just normal to me, you know?
Yeah.
So what I've done, I've built about 6, 7, 8 of these little houses. And what I've done, I've got a piece of cardboard. Just trying to explain something to you.
I tell you what,
so imagine that, right? Piece of cardboard like that.
Yeah.
And I punched like lots of little holes in it, lots of holes. And I was pushing splinters through the cardboard.
Yeah.
And then what I did, all the little houses I made, I kind of wedged them in between the splinters.
Oh, yeah.
So they all stood up.
Kind of held in in position, you know.
Yeah.
So what I did, I built like a whole village for ants. then I got carried away. I thought the ants need furniture. So they need tables and chairs and little beds and things.
And so all from this like little Gillette razor. Like.
Yeah.
I tell you what, market shares for Gillette's going skyrocketing now.
So what I did, I got one of my mum's safety pins and I was punching holes. I cut out a little square out of a dried leaf and punched little holes at the side, each corner, and I put splinters in for the tables.
No way. Fuck.
Then I just put it in position and just did it. And then I started making, you know, the chairs and, you know, and I even made a little merry-go-round for them, you know, out of a piece of silver foil.
Yeah.
I made little horses and stuff, and it was quite crude looking, but it would be enough to shock people into a disbelief.
Yeah.
What it would do, it would stun you into silence because you wouldn't quite understand what's actually happening there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you would know it, but you'd be thinking, how the fucking hell have you done that type of thing?
Yeah.
See, so I did them. I built all of it, and I stood back. You know, time kind of moved on a little bit, you know. Because when you're doing things, time kind of.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Flies.
Especially when you're doing something you enjoy.
Yeah. Then I heard the school bell go off. Ding, 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 ding. Shit, you know. So now I'm a bit scared because I know my mum's coming home. You see.
Right, yeah, because the school bell.
My mum's like the woman in Tom and Jerry. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Thomas.
Yeah. My mum is one of these women. I remember my brother put his finger. My mum made a Jamaican rum cake.
Oh yeah.
My brother put his finger in the cake like that, and so my mum seen him, picked up a potato. My brother ran off. He was quite some distance away.
Yeah.
And my mum went, and the potato bounced off his head.
Jesus.
That's a good shot as well, then.
And instead of having one potato, he had two potatoes. He had a bruise that looked like a potato. You know what I mean?
Oh, mate.
And I'll never forget that. So I'm now a little bit afraid, thinking that my mum sees me, you know, and I'm gonna get it. And I remember I was there, and I saw one of the kids come home from the school next door, skipping down the garden path. And I was like, imagine my fence is here, theirs is there, and I'm kind of, the shed's here, and that's their fence. Because in the 60s, they used to have these grey fences, partition the neighbours, and they used to stand and have a conversation over the fence.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Back in the 60s. Oh, Sean's bought some new shoes. Oh, has he? Do they fit? Not quite.
Just random crap, yeah.
Oh, I've just made an apple pie. My husband loves apple pie.
Fucking hell.
Oh, so does mine. I've got a piece for you. Perhaps you can try some of mine.
Yeah. But the thing is, you laugh, mate, but that's like, you know, that's back in the day when people used to have conversations with one another.
Yeah, they did, you might be.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they were more of a community spirit back then, you know?
Yeah.
You know, if anyone did something wrong, you know, they'd report you to the local bobby.
Right.
There'd be a local policeman, you know? A community policeman.
Yeah.
You know, you get them walking around all day long, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember this girl come down the garden, and then she looked over the fence, and I remember she said, your mum's looking for you. Your mum's looking for you, like that. And I didn't say nothing, you know. Then all of a sudden I heard her go, wow!
When she's seen your ant thing.
And then I heard her say, that's the bestest. Right? You know what happened there, Ben? She just told me that I'm the bestest.
Yeah.
So you know what it was like, Ben? It was like being in a shower, and each droplet of water washed away everything negative that was said about me.
Oh, wow.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought, this little girl has just told me I'm the bestest.
What a sigh of relief. I bet I'm surprised you didn't break down in tears, mate, to be fair.
Well, you know, it didn't do that to me. It encouraged me basically because what it made me, I was showering in what she said. You know.
Yeah.
I was.
I bet that was your. I bet that was your first love then as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Not quite. But you know, from that moment, she said that, and then I heard her say, "Mom." She called her mom, and then a mom come down the garden. A mom came down the garden, and then a mom says, "I heard a mom say, oh, your mom's looking for you," and she's, you know, she's not very happy. Your mom's looking, and the daughter was saying, "Mom, look at that, Mom. Look what he's made." And then a mum went, "Oh, wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing." It's like
beaming.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. How big was this thing? Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Lots of little, probably about that. Lots and lots of all activity.
Just imagine if somebody found that, mate, and just passed it to you now. Like, that'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah, I kept it all these years,
Yeah,
Willard.
man. Just imagine that.
That would be amazing.
But the sad thing is, I never used to keep them, you know. I kept one. I got one house.
Oh, yeah?
Which I kept.
You should remake it, Willard.
Yeah, in fact, you're right there.
Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
You're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do that.
That'd be cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, you're right. I want to do that, guys. I'm gonna remake it. Yeah.
Would you remake it at the what size you remember, or would you go smaller?
I can do it. I can do it like I used to do it as a kid. I'll do it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
It would be amazing, and then you could do tiny little ants as well in there, couldn't you? You could fit a few little tiny ants kicking about.
Man. Yeah. So
no one's ever put that on me before, you know.
Hey, well done, mate.
There you go. There you'll remember Mace now, won't you? Mace was the one who said I should rebuild the ant village.
Yeah.
So then she called her husband, you know, "Bob, can I have a look at this, Bob?" There's always a Bob in there. There's always a Bob.
Yeah.
It's usually Uncle Bob, isn't it? Or Uncle Knobhead. Everyone's got an Uncle Knobhead.
So I remember him looking.
Oh, I've lost you.
Oh, mate.
And he went,
There we go.
"Bloody hell, amazing that is." And it's like, so I'm now floating around the clouds, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like Red Bull gives you wings, you know.
Yeah.
It was encouragement gives you wings. Praise gives you wings.
Not just one person, but a third person out in one go.
So I'm now just happy. She just told me I'm the bestest. So in my head, I'm saying I'm the bestest in my head.
Yeah.
So I remember my door went, and I heard the door slam. And I looked at the garden, and I thought, "Oh no, there's my mum coming down the garden." See, my mum, when she used to hit you, she'd tell you a story while she's hitting you. She wouldn't just hit you, she'd tell you a story.
I know what you're saying.
So, I came in 1957. I came here in 1955, or was it 56? And I remember I was baking a cake, but she'd say it like this: "I come to England 1956, and I was baking a cake."
A cake.
No woman, no cry. No. Well, she never said that to me, but you know, it was. She said that while she was hitting me. She's telling you stuff. You know, I did all my best for you, and you.
Yeah.
But what actually happened? My neighbour told my mum that she brought me home, see, and then, you know, and then my mum kind of told me off, "Don't do that again," and then my neighbour said, "Look at that, Mrs. Wigan, look what your son's made." So then my mum says, "What's that?" And when she saw it, she kind of just went, took a deep breath, and she just looked at what I made, and I showed it like that. There's all little ants crawling all over it and everything, and
Yeah.
she looked at it like that. And she took it in the house, put it on the table. She looked at it like that, and then she just said, "Make them smile and them get bigger."
Nice.
Yeah, man.
So she just told me, if I make them smaller, my name gets bigger.
Yeah.
And then I tried to explain to her. She
That's
said,
that's some wise words to come straight off the cuff, that, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah, man.
yeah. But then she said to me, make them smaller, keep making small things. Because she knew that I had a learning difference. She knew I couldn't read very well.
Right.
And
So
she knew that was your thing that you was amazing at. And you know.
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah, she saw your talent straight away.
I said to myself, that's it now. That's all I can do. You see, so it's like a possession. I'm now possessed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I did, I remember my mum showed me this little red mite walking up the wall.
Oh yeah, those little red spider things. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the little blood ants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. And she said, make him a house.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay.
Wow, she was testing you now, right?
Yeah, and I showed her. She went, too big, man. Right, so I'm like, what's wrong? You know, and that became like my life depends upon it, you see. I thought, well, there's nothing else I can do, you know, this is it. So I'm like making lots of little things, you know, carving everything,
Yeah.
you know. And so what I did, I built this house, showed it her, but she said it's too big. So everything I made from there on, my mum would all tell me it's too big.
Oh, right.
Where it actually wasn't. She just knew
Pushing
you
you.
could do it smaller.
she's just
pushing you,
pushing me, you know, telling me to do it smaller.
Yeah.
So what I did, I got a toothpick and I carved on the point of the toothpick Peter Rabbit from Beatrix Potter.
No way.
Because I love Beatrix Potter.
Yeah.
I just, even though I couldn't read it, I used to like looking at the animals, the animals, sorry. And I was fascinated by the way they used to dress them up in clothes.
Yeah.
Like Peter Rabbit, Tiddlywink, and and all that stuff. And
yeah.
And I was like, Jemima Puddle Duck, and and I was like, I used to sit there looking at Peter Rabbit books for ages,
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't need a picture in my head to do it, because of what had happened, guys. I developed a photographic memory.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I could just look at something and just do it. I didn't need any pictures.
Wow.
Nice.
So, because I can already see Peter Rabbit in my head now, I already know what he looks like. Some people can see it, but to produce it,
yeah, it's a different thing.
It's a different thing.
I remember ages ago, I saw there's this young kid that he started drawing, like pencil drawing. He visited this place. He looked at this one scene, and they started testing him over years. I think it was New York City or something like that. He stood up really high on this skyscraper or something. Just looked at New York City, and then I think he went to France or something on this massive whiteboard. I'm talking like fucking 4 meters by 4 meters, and he's just just drawing the whole scene of New York City. Like, incredible. Because
I've seen that kid, and what they've done, they tested him against a computer to see if everything was right.
Yeah,
and every single window is in the same place.
It's just
unbelievable.
That's just.
How?
And this is why when you and I first chatted, mate, the way I see your work, because unfortunately, what I should have done at the beginning of this interview or podcast is to, I suppose I touched on it, but I just wanted to let people listening understand the sheer talent and what I called the superhero talent, like the superpower that you have, because it's one thing just to say, he makes models inside the eye of a needle, but the process of actually how you do it is incredible. The one thing that actually hit the nail on the head for me is just like sparks flew, is where you have to wait in between heartbeats sometimes to make a move to paint, or and what is it? You use your heartbeat for like almost like a chisel, And it's like to say that to somebody because before as this podcast has been coming up, I've been saying to people in my day-to-day life, I've got a great guest coming up. I've got a great guest, Dr. Willard Wigan. He can do this. And as soon as I say, like, he waits between heartbeats to draw, to make a move, everyone's like, what?
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing.
It's absolutely incredible. And what I'm going to do, like, as at the beginning, I'm just going to flash a few images of what you've produced, just to get that people understanding the sheer brilliance of what you do. It's incredible, mate.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Ben. But from that moment on, that was when I knew that I went on a journey from there.
Yeah.
I didn't just find me once; I found me twice.
Right.
So all that was the beginning. So when I did this Peter Rabbit, I showed one of the girls, and then she went around telling all the other kids, Willard Wigan made a little rabbit on a stick. Willard Wigan made a little rabbit on, and so all the kids are now wanting to see this little rabbit,
Yeah.
And all the kids were saying, "That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant." So I became a bit of a hero, you see, because I was made something small, and that's when I realised how much little things mean, and how much people underestimate, and I was becoming inspired by underestimation, you see, because people were like seeing something that was small. That had a huge impact on them.
Yeah.
Not only that it had it on them, it had it on me. But then the transformation from there, was like, I knew then that I'd had to keep going down in scale to go smaller, you see. So when I went back to school, I remember going back to school, and then, I was taken to the headmaster. That any boy absconds from school shall face the consequences.
Yeah.
Run along with me. You shall be severely dealt with. One of them horrible teachers.
Yeah.
Took me to the headmaster, and I remember sitting down like that. The headmaster was from Wales, a Welshman, with a big beard. And she knocked on the door. Here he is, the coloured boy who's been absconding from school. And he's been disruptive in the classroom. He's not listening to anything the teachers say. He's not this and that.
Yeah.
Then the headmaster kind of looked at me and went, "Okay, leave him with me then." Then he kind of looked at me and he says, "One of the kids have come in here and told me that you make little people on sticks like a little rabbit." And I went, and he's from Wales, you see. His teacher was, and I said, "Yes." He says, "Can I see one?" And I showed him one, and he went, "Oh my God, boyo."
Boyo. I like boyo.
Boyo. This is fantastic, boyo. Something like that, anyway. Excuse my Welsh.
That's good.
So I thought that was French.
Okay.
I like your French.
Yeah. So then he said, "This is fantastic. Can I have it?" And I went,
"It's bribery."
Yes,
Yeah.
"You can have it." And he went in a tin, and he opened this tin, and he went, this box, and he went, put in my hand, and I opened my hand, there was 10 shillings in my hands.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Which was a lot of money back then. He gave me 10 bob.
Yeah.
He says, "Keep that." And he says, "Look," he said, "I've been watching you." He says, "I know about you." He says, "But I'm going to get you to see if I'll get you to learn to read." So he got me to see a lady called Mrs. Brown. And Mrs. Brown was one of the teachers that used to teach kids with learning differences, to spell. And, sort of spell k-a-t, cat, mat, m-a-t, cat sat on the mat, mat sat on the cat, fuck knows. So I was learning to kind of spell a little bit,
Yeah.
But when it came to that side of it, I wasn't happy anyway, because the damage had been done already. You see.
Yeah.
So I was just there, I was like, I suppose you feel like you're in quicksand of despair. You know what I mean? You're kind of sinking, but you only sink when you're at school, not when you're out. So I was just trying.
Yeah.
And I didn't really. I was just happy with the school dinners. That's about it.
Yeah.
But
you were just going through the motions of school.
just going through the motions. I'd go to
Yeah.
school, I'd sit there in the classroom, but I wasn't gaining any education at all. I wasn't.
No.
I couldn't conceive what they were trying to put into me.
Yeah.
See, so it was like I just existed. That's all. I was just.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm alive. That's all that matters to me. I had a dog.
Yeah.
That I could go and play with the insects and stuff. Remember one time one of the teachers told me to stand at the back of the class because I weren't listening. When I stood to the back of the class, it was I look out the window and I could see little insects flying around, and
You're happy.
I saw little ant crawling up the window, and little beetles. And I thought, this ain't no punishment. This is a pleasure for me.
Yeah.
So it's like sending me to Disney World.
Yeah.
It's so sad you didn't get the help you needed, though, Willard, at school. I know nobody did back then. But
you see what it is, Reece. I'm going to tell you the truth, mate. I'll tell you the truth. This is the sad truth. If you had a bit of, if your pigmentation was different, mate, they'd put it on you. They really would.
Yeah.
That's what it
You know what I
stemmed
mean?
from, do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, back in the 60s, I know shit was a lot different back then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can't imagine it, It's just fucking shocking.
Well, it's like if I if I really wanted to, I could probably try and prosecute some of the teachers and bring them to justice for what they did to me.
Yeah.
But do I want to go through that?
Yeah,
Because
the thing-
you've got to
focus.
The thing is, mate, I think that, where I don't think that's you. You've had plenty of opportunity to do that, and
You wouldn't stand a chance.
hey,
Back then, you wouldn't stand a chance.
no.
If you tried to prosecute, you wouldn't stand a chance.
No.
But you see, that's not just one. There's so many incidents happened to me at school.
Yeah.
I mean, if I told you now and I carried on, you'd grow a long beard.
Yeah. I can imagine. This is why I said at the beginning, mate. I'm sure there's one story of 1,000, or more.
But what that did to me, it never made me bitter. It just made me better.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, what happened to you has probably shaped who you are now.
This is
right.
that's what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
no regrets. You can't go through with no regrets.
That's right. Yeah, you're right, mate.
But
I can tell you, mate, the racism that I faced as a kid was terrible.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's enough to give you nightmares, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was all over the TV. It was everywhere. They used to do some horrible things, say things. Gangs of kids would chase you with bricks and stuff, and people would spit at you. I mean, but I won't go into that. But
when I grew up around
That is
it.
the
Things
truth.
were different back then, weren't they?
Yeah.
I can remember racism when I was a kid, but nowadays it's gone, isn't it? But racism only exists if people talk about it. If nobody
that's
talks
right,
about
that's right.
racism,
That-
there is
yeah.
no fucking racism.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
fucking- That's what Morgan Freeman said. He says
Yeah.
the way we'll stop racism is just by stop talking about it.
Yeah.
that's it. But I mean, I had to tell you that because that did happen.
Yeah.
So I will move on from that.
Yeah, that's
because
cool.
That did happen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
what we're trying to say, what me and Mace are trying to say is that everything that happens in life, whether it's racism, bullying, ex-girlfriends, or God knows whatever happens, all these things, it just molds you into who you are today.
Definitely.
There has to, like cause and effect, it has to happen. And it just so happens that, fortunately, you chose, that route for you ended up basically forcing you into something which has just made you an amazing,
Superhuman.
talented
Well,
person.
tell you what it is, guys, right? Tell you what it is, you see. One mum used to say to me, Martin Luther King said one thing. Don't judge a man or a woman by the colour of their skin, but judge them by the contents of their character.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
My mum installed that into me, so I would judge people. I didn't care about the pigmentation. But other people had a problem with it. I didn't. So what I did, I just decided to skip over the barriers of it, and that was it.
Yeah.
But because I had good mates, you see, at school, it wasn't the kids, it was the adults that were educating them to be like that. So, but the kids weren't. Some of the kids weren't because the teachers told them. But I had good friends at school, lots of good friends, and because I was so good at doing stuff that the kids couldn't do. You see, when I was at school, the kids. I remember there's one kid there called John Harris, and he had got this aeroplane, and he was throwing it, and it kept dropping on the floor. It didn't fly good. So I remember seeing a sycamore seed fall out of a tree. So I got a piece of balsa wood and I cut out the shape of the sycamore, and I put like a little bit of lead in the middle of it, and I cut out a little groove to grab the elastic band, and I kind of twisted it.
Yeah.
I looked at the sycamore and I shot it up into the air, and it went right up, and it was whizzing around on a thermal.
No way.
Yeah. Nice.
And it was staying up like that, and he was going. And then all the kids started to come and have a look. Then my name got out there, what I could do. You see,
yeah.
So that's when I realised I had a sort of ability to do stuff practically with my hands. I become creative.
Yeah.
So that side of it was, that was good. I was happy with that.
Yeah.
And I was, I started to realise what I could really do. But, the transformation from there, it kind of, when I went to senior school, it was like, it's another chapter because I was at senior school. I was there. They already know the history of you not being able to read. So they put me in a class of kids with slow learning differences. So I was in this class. And the teacher's name, Mr. Parker. Yeah, he's all right, he was. I used to chew my pencils up and spit them out.
Yeah.
I used to chew them up.
Mm.
And he said to me, "Why are you doing that for?" And I said, "Because they don't like me." I said the pencil didn't like me.
That reminds me, when I was younger, my granddad, my Scottish granddad, used to give me these twigs. It was licorice stick.
Mate,
real licorice stick, like a twig.
Yeah.
I used to hate it, man. I used to fucking hate it. But every time I saw him, I used to have one because I thought it was cool.
Is that the ones where you don't eat the meat, you just chew it?
Yeah, like you go through the bark and then all the juice comes through and it tastes like,
It's like a medicine. It's supposed to be good for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I used to have it all the time, but I didn't like it. I just had it all the time.
Yeah. There's a saying, the devil makes bad food taste good.
Mm. Oh, yeah,
damn right.
It's true.
So so you taste something that's not good for you, it tastes good.
Yeah.
Willard, have you ever been approached by anybody like wanting you to make like miniature robots or something for the government or anything? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm gonna actually come to a bit of that because when I went on to senior school, I was the bit that I was at the school, but I was just. Like I said, it was the same thing again. I'm just there. So whatever they put in front of me to write, it was just like, forget it.
Mm.
And, you're not trying, are you, Wigan? Why aren't you listening? Why can't you spell your name? Yeah. Why can't you read the time? I think, well, time doesn't matter to me anymore.
You should have said, yes, I have wrote it. It's just really small. You can't see it.
Yes, mate. Come out with a tiny little book and licking your fingers and turning the pages. It's on there, look, miss.
But what it was, you see, when it was all right for me because the kids I got on well with, I was just there and, we used to have little scraps as well. We used to have little fights and stuff, but nothing really serious, But I used to get in trouble quite a bit, but it didn't do it. It wasn't really a problem to me because it was an escapism from being in the class. You'd stand at the back of the class, you'd just, or you get the cane on your hand. I didn't care about that. My mum hit me harder than that. That was a tickle compared to what my mum used to give me. So, I've become a little bit disruptive in school. I wasn't really bothered. I've absconded school quite a few times when I was at senior school. I've absconded. I was sort of trying to find my direction, and, to the end of my senior school, I was just absolutely illiterate almost.
Mm.
I could speak.
Yeah.
That was good enough for me. I could communicate. I could articulate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was all right. I used to watch TV. I started reading life became a book.
Yeah.
I was just reading things, reading people, looking at things, and just
Conversations.
programming my head, all types of things.
Yeah.
But so what actually happened after there, guys? I was still making my little sculptures, but I kept it dormant. I didn't tell anybody.
Right.
So when I left school, I worked in a factory. I left school in 1972. I worked in a factory, and I was just drilling holes in bits of metal,
Right.
and throwing it in the container. It's called piecework. The more holes you drill, the more money you get.
Right.
So I remember doing that, and I said to myself one day, I need to get a microscope.
Right.
Because I need to honour my mother's words and make things smaller.
Yeah.
So what I did, I saved up, I think it was about £3, it was quite a bit of money back then, and I got myself a second-hand microscope.
So in 72, how old were you then? 72?
15.
15, right, okay.
Yeah, I was 15.
Yeah.
But by then I was going to nightclubs, you see, at 15.
Right.
I was going to clubs and staying out till 2 o'clock in the morning and things like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Dirty dropout.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was dancing to. I used to have an afro. I was dancing to Motown and James
nice.
Brown.
Yeah.
Come on, get on up, get on up, like a sex machine.
I feel good.
He's brilliant, though, wasn't he?
He was legend.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that I was, doing all that stuff, and it was. Leisure was all right to me.
Yeah.
Because that's all that mattered to me. I thought, well, okay, forget about the reading and writing. I'm going to have some fun.
Yeah, man, fuck it.
Right? So I was having fun. I was enjoying myself. My teenage years were good because I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
I just had fun.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
I had this girlfriend who fell in love with me because I told her that we're going to run away together.
Yeah.
I told her.
Did you say, do you want to see my small thing?
No.
Yeah, I used to tell her little stories, and she used to, I told her that I was a runaway and I got nowhere to live and I promised me and you run away together,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Feel sorry for me,
And that worked, didn't it? Jesus Christ.
And she used to get this doll, right? And she used to have this little doll and throw it on the floor and pretend the doll had died and said, let's make another doll.
Yes, mate.
Yes, mate.
Brilliant.
Nice,
So I used to pretend to kiss him. A little bit of sex, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She put the
Like a
doll
sex
back on the
machine.
table. Put the doll back on the table and slapped the doll off, and the doll had fallen off again. She said, "Oh, the doll's died again."
And it had been about 10 minutes from the last time.
Yeah, so the doll must have died about 50 times.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Poor doll, mate. It's like bloody...
But, that was the fun side of it, you see what I mean? It was like just fun.
Yeah.
Going to work. I worked in this factory. I didn't mind because I gave my mum some housekeeping money.
Nice.
But like I said, I got this microscope now. The first day I got this microscope, I put it on the table, I looked down it, and I noticed I could see things bigger.
Yeah.
So I thought, right. So I got a toothpick, and I broke a piece of razor blade off. Still using that little method, and I pushed it into the end of the match, and I got some fuse wire and tied it round, and some, so it would stay where it is. I'd find ways of lodging it in so it would stay there. And then I started to carve away, and I carved this tiny little bird perched on the point of the cocktail stick.
Fucking hell.
And I looked at
At 15?
Yeah. It's no problem.
I bet when you first looked through that microscope, that must have been a wow factor for you, right? You must have been like, wow, a whole new world has just opened up.
Yeah, because I looked at this world that people disregard, you see, because we're human beings, right? Only accept something because they can see.
Yeah.
Don't mean it's not there, yeah.
If you can't see something, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Like ghosts, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, mate. I mean, I can say lots of words to you and mean nothing, and say a few words mean everything. So I mean, because all of us, we all started small, but we seem to forget that we were once microscopic. We seem to forget that, you see.
Yeah.
What do you think is that obsession?
Reminding myself.
Eh?
I was reminding myself of how small I really was. Do you know what I mean? So when I actually carved this little bird, took it away from the microscope and I twirled it around underneath the microscope. I twirled it around. I looked at it and I said, right, I want to show my mum now. And I showed my mum. I went, Mum, put it underneath the microscope. My mum had a look and she went, too big.
Jesus, man.
Fucking hell. You know, what do I have to do to please this woman? You know, because it was all.
What size was that? Like a grain of rice, do you think, or like half the size?
Smaller than that. You know, the point of a toothpick.
Yeah.
Just on the point.
No way.
What? And that was too small. Like Jesus, man.
That was too big.
Sorry, that was too big. Yeah.
You said it was too big. Yeah, but you see, I was like, it used to get me angry. So I thought, right, I want to make it smaller. So I'd have a go.
Yeah.
And even though I did achieve to get it smaller, I still never showed my mum because I kept thinking,
she's
it's
just
going to
say
be the same.
Yeah,
I knew what the answer was going to be anyway, so I thought, I'm not going to show it.
Yeah.
So what I started to do, I was more or less experimenting.
Yeah.
I started pulling bits of nylon out and carving. I carved an angel.
Yeah.
On a piece of nylon. And I noticed because it was so tiny, I was sort of holding my breath a little bit, you know, and just sort of.
Yeah.
I didn't get to the bit with the heartbeat side of it till I got older, you know, and then I carved this little angel. Transparent wings, just like it's slicing a carrot, you know. I sort of sliced it into shape. I did it pretty easy, you see. I didn't have to. I didn't. It wasn't easy, but I could just do it because it was just natural for me.
Yeah.
And I showed my sisters, and I was like, "Wow, you know, it was really brilliant." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Okay." So I'd go to work every day. You know, I'd come home and I'd meet up with this girl, and we'd go out and have a dance. And then I kind of stopped a little bit, you know, but sometimes I'd just go away into my bedroom and I'd stay there all day. Nobody would see me.
Yeah.
There I was training like a madman, you know.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be what I set out to be, which is the bestest.
Yeah.
You know, the word the bestest from the kid. But now I'm telling myself I want to be the greatest at what I do.
Yeah.
So what I did, I first of all, I carved like some sort of they were like acrobats standing on each other's shoulders.
Yeah.
On a toothpick, and I carved about 7 of them all standing on top of one another.
Wow.
And then I looked at it and I destroyed it.
Why?
What?
But I just destroyed it because I thought it ain't good enough, not small enough, not good enough.
Right.
So what I started to do, guys, I was destroying a lot of my work, throwing it away.
Yeah. I used to do that. I used to do that of oil paintings.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you set yourself a bar, don't you? And everything has to be better, right? I remember doing a couple of oil paintings, and people were like, "Wow, that's really good, really good." And then I'd be like, "Right, I want to try something else now. I want to push myself," and it wouldn't be as good, you know. So I'd be like, "Oh, fuck that, throw it," you know, and just keep on trying to push myself. That must have been what it's like. You've always got to up the bar, you know.
Yeah, well, sometimes you're not satisfied with your own performance. And I think it's a good thing, really.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it pushes you.
Because what that does, that brings out the best of you, you know? If you get a boxer and he goes into the ring and he says, you know, I'm okay, not good.
Yeah,
when you get Tyson Fury, nobody can beat me. I'm the best.
Yeah.
I'm the greatest.
Mind
the Gypsy
over
King.
man.
The Gypsy King.
You big dosser, you big dosser.
You big dosser. Twice on a Sunday, twice on a Monday.
That's it, what he said on that last fight, wasn't it? That's it, I beat them both in the same night.
On a Sunday. You dosser. Let's have it. You know what I mean?
He's good at impressions, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, you know, you believe in yourself. You believe it, because I mean, I'm a big boxing fan anyway, so I get inspiration from boxers, you know, from all the greats, you know, the Muhammad Ali's, you know, the Tysons, the Tyson Furies, you know, the Lennox Lewis, all great fighters, because they got knocked. Some of them get knocked down, they get back up and they win.
Yeah. Who do you think is the best boxer of all time, then, mate?
Do I think?
Who do you think is the best boxer of all time?
To me, I would probably say Lennox Lewis.
Really?
Then Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
I would say.
Nice.
Yeah, and I know my boxing. Muhammad Ali was a great technician.
Yeah.
but he would have been too small for today.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But if you'd have had the training of today, because you're 6'3", if you'd had the training today, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
You don't
But to
rate
me-
you don't rate Tyson then?
Oh wow, yeah, Mike Tyson. Forgot about him. Yeah, I mean that's a monster. That thing.
Yeah, that
I
thing.
mean, yeah, Tyson Fury's named after him anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, he's in the mix too.
Yeah,
But sometimes you can't compare eras. You see,
that's right. Yeah.
different generations.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be interesting. I think because Lennox Lewis was a big guy and he could bang and he was clever as well.
Yeah.
You know, so and he fought better opponents. So you
Yeah.
know. But anyway, yeah, like I said, with you know, I compare myself to like how a boxer is. You know, I want to be the best at what I do.
Yeah.
You see, so I remember just leaving it for a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd kind of left it. It hibernated.
Yeah.
So throughout my whole teens, then I started to get depressed
Oh
because
yeah.
I kept thinking, if I can't read, I'm not going to get anywhere.
Right.
So I can't go to college because I'm too embarrassed. I can't go to like a college that teaches people to read and write properly. So I started to get embarrassed about myself.
Right.
So I kind of sank into some more quicksand.
Yeah.
But you know, there's always a lady that used to help me out. You see, when I was women, I respect women so much because they always say things to you to make you feel better.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I remember this girl I met, and she used to say, "Don't worry, Willard, I love you."
Yeah.
And I'd just come straight out of the quicksand, and then we go in the bedroom.
Oh, I've dropped the doll again.
Yeah.
That poor doll was like a voodoo doll.
You know, so I was. Then I found some more happiness a little bit, you know, because you'd go to clubs, listen to Motown, have a dance, and go out, have a little drink, you know, orange juice to me or water, you know.
Yeah.
So, but then throughout my teens, I got to my late teens, like 20s, at about 1973, I was doing robotics, you know, I used to go and do robotic dancing.
Oh, yeah?
Yes,
And nobody
mate.
could beat me. I used to think I was like some kind of machine, you know, just like all the kids used to crowd around me and throw money at me. Yeah,
Body popping.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yes, mate, with your shell suit.
yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I was doing all that stuff. And I started to enjoy myself because I was just, you know, doing what teenagers do, you know.
Yeah.
But then I used to look beyond that and think, after this, what do I do? And I started to get depressed. And I went to when I was about 20, 21, I had several girlfriends. I used to have lots of girlfriends because I loved hanging around with women because they should make me laugh. Women are a lot. People underestimate women, you know. Women are the reason why we're here, you know. We should always respect them, respect our mothers.
Yeah, for
You
sure,
know,
man.
it's a man's world, but without a woman, you'd be nothing.
Yeah.
James Brown sang that song, didn't he?
Yeah. It's a man's
Oh,
world.
yeah.
So, you know, so I used to have lots of girlfriends, lots and lots. And sometimes I used to fight over me, the girl. He's mine. No, he's not. He's mine. He's mine.
Hey, he's doggy.
Yeah, I know, mate. The dog had them all lined up. One on a Monday, one on a Tuesday,
And to a Sunday.
Oh, I like Wednesday.
You know what I mean? So you know, I was like that. And you know, and then throughout my teens, right up to 20s, like when I got to mid-20s, I was like, you know, I'm not really doing much. And then one day, I was about I reached age 28, and I was always in and out of work. I lived in a flat. I looked at my flat. I had plastic sofas with bloody holes in it from the second-hand shop. I had bloody curtains with bloody holes in it, you know, like.
Yeah.
I looked at the carpet, some cheap carpet. Not even Poundland would sell these carpets that I had in my house. And I looked around, and I started looking around my room, and I thought, I used to meet this girl who used to come to my house. She used to say, "Why do you live like this? Why didn't you get a job?" And I used to think, I'm too embarrassed because I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know, because I never showed her, you know.
No.
I never showed this girl what I could do.
Oh, right.
No, I didn't show
Wow,
her.
that's peculiar. Why you wouldn't do that?
Yeah, I kind of it hibernated
Yeah.
for a bit, and then one day my mother said to me, I was about 28 years old. 28. I went to see my mum. My mum said, "Show them your small things. Show the world what you can do."
Yeah.
So I thought, okay. So I decided to go for a walk. Went to city centre of Birmingham, a place called Corporation Street. And I'm walking down this street about 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm having a look around. Because I just woke up one morning, looked around my house. I thought, I ain't my flat at the time. I ain't going to, this ain't right for me. You know. And I thought, I need to do something. So I'm walking down this street in Corporation Street in Birmingham. And there was a, and the shop was across the road from the law courts. See? So, and there was a shop there called Pond's Tools. It was a big DIY store that sold wood carving tools and chisels and chainsaws and drills, the whole lot.
Yeah.
So when I went in, there was a bench in the window. And on the bench, there was a piece of wood. And there was wood carving tools around this bench. So I walked in, I was looking at this bench, and I looked at it, and I looked at this piece of wood on the bench. It's a piece of lime wood. And I'm looking at it, just looking at it for ages. And I could see William Shakespeare's head in it.
Oh, yeah?
I said, William Shakespeare's in there. Just to myself.
Yeah.
And I picked up the wood carving chisel, I was looking at it, and all of a sudden, this guy came up and said, "Hello, dear boy, can I help you?" And I went, "I'm just having a look at this wood carving tool, looking at that piece of wood and stuff, you know." And he went, "Are you a wood carver?" And I went, No, but I can carve that pretty easy." And he went, well, like what do you do? Have you got any pictures of what you do, anything? So in my pocket, on the toothpick, there's Peter Rabbit carved.
Oh, yeah.
And I showed it him. 1988, this was 88, 89. And I showed it him and he went, "Bloody hell! That is fucking amazing." And I went, "Did you do that?" I said, "Yeah." "I've never seen it. Look at the bloody detail on that." I had this little magnifying glass so he could see.
Yeah.
Then he went and called his wife. He said, "Kay, can I look at this?" His wife came and she went, "Oh my God, that's fantastic. Who did that?" He said he done it. And he said, "Did you really?" I said, "Of course I did it." I said, "I'll tell you what, give me a scalpel blade here." Got a scalpel blade? So I turned it the other way around. I said, "Watch." I started to carve a little rabbit again, right in front of his eyes. I didn't finish it all off. I showed him what was happening.
Yeah.
And he went, "Bloody hell, that's amazing." He says, "Have you got?" I said, "Where'd you do this?" "I don't really do it," but I said, I'll tell you what, let me carve something on that piece of wood and I'll sort of endorse the tools and I'll sort of, it'll bring an attraction to your shop. I can be artist in residence. I can do a little promotional carving to show what these tools are capable of, which will endorse.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Tools, and it will also bring people into the shop, bring some interaction, and I can just carve something on that piece of wood.
Yeah.
And his wife says, "Oh, that's a good idea, that is, because that piece of wood's been there for ages. You might as well let him do something." And then he looked at me and he went, "I mean, these tools cost a lot of money, you know." And I says, "I'll be able to afford to pay for them tools when I finish carving what I was going to carve on that piece of wood if you let me do it." And he went, "That's a good idea. I mean, but, we haven't promoted it or anything. We can't just do it without promoting it." I said, "No, don't promote it. Put the bench outside, give me the chisel, right? And then watch me work."
Oh, okay. So you worked on it outside the shop?
Yeah, I says, "Watch me work." And he went, "But I mean, we haven't promoted." I said, "Forget about the promotion. If you, I says, "Give me the overalls now." And he went, and his wife said, "Let him do it. Go on, woman again."
Yeah.
So I went, "Oh, okay then." He used to say, "Call me dear boy." Okay, dear boy, like that. And he gave me his overalls. I said, "Put it outside about 10:30 in the morning. Nice sunny day." I said, "Watch this. Give me a mallet. Give me a chisel. Give me a gouge. Watch this." And I went tap tap. It was so easy. This was because it was the bigger the challenge, the bigger the actual carving, the smaller the challenge.
Yeah.
So I started to chip away, and all of a sudden the shape started to come out. And people started coming across the road to have a look, say, "Oh, what are you making? Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting." People going into the shop and talking to me, "What are you going to cost?" I said, "I won't tell you till it's finished." Then, a few days after, going back every day, people was coming in and buying tools and talking to me. And all of a sudden they could see the shape. And then I heard this woman again come across the road and says, "That looks a bit like William Shakespeare." And he says, "Yeah, it is. That's fantastic. Could I commission that?"
Oh, why?
And I said, "Yeah, when it's finished. I'd like to see it when it's finished." And she says, I think she's one of the magistrates or something. And she says, "How much?" And I went, I could price myself out here, And I went, 1,500. She went, "Oh, no problem. I shall give you half the money and then the rest when it's complete."
1,500. Christ.
No way.
In 2, did you say?
No. This was 1989, 1990.
Oh, sorry. 89. Yeah.
And it was like,
Jesus.
it's like,
Is this also from memory as well? Going from
no photograph. No, just do it.
Oh, wow.
Don't need any photograph.
This is what I was going to say. Yeah.
How you managed to do that? Because I can just see it in my head. And all of a sudden, people started coming over. Like, there's me going, 1,500.
Yeah.
I can buy some new sofas. I can buy some new shoes. I can buy new curtains. I can buy new TV.
I bet you were like, I should have said $2,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, there I was, And when I finished it off, she'd come and tuck it away. It's absolutely fantastic, beautiful. And then all of a sudden, what I did, I varnished it for him, Danish oil on it and everything, and made it all, waxed it, polished it up really nice. And then while I did that, a guy came along with a pen and paper. Said, "I'm a journalist from the Birmingham Evening Mail. I'd like to do an article on you, feature on you. People are talking about you, so I'd like to do an article on you."
Nice.
That's nice. So how did you start doing this then? And I said, "Well, I started making little things on toothpicks, Like what?" And I went, "Bloody hell," did the story, went out in the papers.
Yeah.
And before I knew, I was getting inquiries from people. People started commissioning me to do stuff. Then I had a call from a lady from a place called the Arcadian Centre in Birmingham. It was this big shopping precinct that just opened up at the time.
Yeah.
And that's, sort of shops to lease. But she wanted to get me in there as artist in residence, so I didn't have to pay to be there as an attraction. So Mr. Pond, when he saw what I did, he started helping me out, sponsoring me and giving me tools and stuff. Then I had a lot of wood carving tools, and then I met up with a friend of mine called Graham Jones, who was another wood carver who came home to see what I did, and we started to help me out, and we went down to the sawmills, the tree surgeon guys, and they chopped up some big pieces of wood for us, and we took it down to the shop, and then I filled it up with bits of logs and stuff, tree trunks and, logs, all different types of wood, elm, lime, sycamore, oak, whatever. And there I was carving away, you see.
Yeah.
And then before I knew it, I was getting calls from people asking me can you make me some ballet shoes? And I was like, I was earning money, you see. Then I became a wood carver. But what actually happened after that, I went and told my mum what I'd done, and I showed my mum some of the pictures of the wood carvings I did, and she went, "Not interested."
I was just going to say, because this is like, although
one extreme to another.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, lots of people can do that. With no disrespect, I say,
of course,
and lots of people can do that. But the problem is, you're toyed now with this I'm doing this, it's easy, and I'm getting money.
Yeah, you was earning money from it.
It's that it could have been that slippery slope where you could have gone into that, like just being the guy that does, wood carving, as opposed to now, obviously
But then, what actually happened after that?
Yeah.
I remember my mum telling me that I gave my mum some money, gave her about 600 quid. She's like, thank you. You know what I mean? My mum could buy a few things, and I'd bought myself a TV, and I got a new sofa, and I was.
You was doing all right.
I was okay.
Yeah.
I was, and then signed off the dole. I was, I had my own business, wood carving business. My mate used to help me out and stuff.
Yeah. And
then years passed on. As I was going through the motion doing these wood carvings, which I enjoyed. People were asking me to carve portraits of their kids, all types of stuff, and I was doing all that. Then 1998 came along, 1998. I'm going to skip the period of what happened in between because I was just doing wood carvings.
Yeah.
I was loving it and having fun. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
I found me.
Yeah.
I found 50% of me. I was there.
Yeah. And I suppose also interacting with other people, at that back and forth transaction, the conversations you're having as well, the building confidence. And
then the big one came. This guy came in the shop by the name of David Burner. And he was a freelance journalist. And he says to me, him and his mate said, Edward and Sophie's getting married. Could you do a carving of Edward and Sophie to commemorate the wedding? And I says, yeah, I can do that. I said, I got an idea. So I took a match, right? Turned the match up the other way, not the striking bit, the bottom of the match, and I carved Edward and Sophie on the match, and I called it the perfect match.
Hey,
nice.
Yeah.
And then it was photographed by, the photographers there, and then it was put out, and it went out into the Sun, the Mirror, the Guardian. It went out in the Mirror, the Daily Express, and then before I knew it,
you was famous.
Yeah.
Things started to happen.
No way.
And then all of a sudden, I had a call from a program called The Big Breakfast Show.
Yeah. I remember that, mate, with Johnny Vaughan.
Johnny Vaughan.
What was the girl in it? I used to love her.
Kelly Brook.
Kelly Brook.
No, the other one. Kelly Brook's all right, but Denise Van Outen as well.
Oh, I've met Denise Van Outen.
Have you?
Oh, but the night before, we went into the green room, and she just looked at me and Brad, just went, because everyone was suited and booted, and we were just in shorts and T-shirts, and we were told we're not allowed to look at her, we're not allowed to talk to her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. If you're not allowed to look at her for longer than 3 seconds or something stupid like that, it's ridiculous. Yeah. But anyway, sorry about that. I just thought I'd have to tell you.
That's quite an interesting story actually, because what actually happened, what actually happened, I had this phone call, and they contacted me for me to go on the Big Breakfast Show. So I thought, because by then what had happened, guys, I'd already had a collection of little micro stuff that I'd already done.
Yeah.
See, because I kept it dormant. I didn't tell anybody. I carved the Statue of Liberty and put it in the eye of a needle.
Oh, nice. I think I've seen that. I've seen that. That's all over the internet. Yeah.
But that was. I mean, that was. I did two. I did one out of wood, which was just that was the one that was on the Big Breakfast Show.
Yeah.
But the one that you see all over the internet, that's nothing to compare to what I can do now. Because I'm going to show you something, guys.
Yes. Nice.
This here.
Yeah.
See that? I'm going to bring that out. I'm going to do that again and make it exactly like that.
Yeah.
I got that when I was in New York, and I said I want to do that again, because what happens? I'll do something and I'm never happy.
Yeah.
Never happy.
That's why you're the best.
Yeah, I'm never happy. I thought I'm going to do it again. So anyway, I had all these little sculptures. I got invited. They sent a limousine to pick me up.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the time. It was about 5:30, 6:30 in the morning, something like that. Knocked on the door. Your limousines arrived to go to London. I'm like, my mum's words are actually coming into fruition now,
Yeah, man.
So
manifesting.
Going to London, talking to the limo driver. I didn't understand the word what he was saying. No, but oh, you're going, what are you going to do now? You're going to see Big Breakfast on it. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what country it's from, but I couldn't quite understand it, you know. But
Yeah.
I was a bit tired trying to fall asleep, but he kept talking. So
God.
And in the end, I just said, I'm going to get some sleep. Oh, okay, you have some sleep. Make sure you have a good dream then. And I remember getting there. I remember got out the limo and got to the studio, and I remember walking into the green room, sitting down, and Kelly Brook came in, and, you know, because what had happened, because they saw up in the paper, you see, about the Edward and Sophie, so I was like, Kelly Brook said, absolutely fantastic what you did. Johnny wants to come and have a word with you, you know. And Johnny Vaughan came out and had a word. He says, hey, what you've done is absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to interview you, know. Yeah, this is great, you know. Something's happening here, you know.
Yeah.
I remember sitting around the table with Johnny Vaughan, and there's a few people in the audience, and then he introduced me. Said, you know, ladies and gentlemen, we have a remarkable artist. His name is Willard Wigan. He's about to show some of incredible work. The only thing I can say is phenomenal what he's done. And then said, have a look at this, showed him the sculpture of Edward and Sophie, you know, and it was like, I said, Johnny, let me show you what I can really do. And I showed him the Statue of Liberty in the Eye of the Needle.
Yeah.
And he went, oh my God. And I showed him some more of the little ones I did in the Eye of the Needle. It was like, wow. A woman holding a baby in the Eye of the Needle.
Yeah. Wow, man.
And it was like, wow. And all the audience were like gasping. And then I started to tell them a little bit about how I started and why I did it and stuff, you know. And as that program ended, you know, I had a phone call. 2 guys from the island of Jersey, Centellia. His name was Alan Devey. And there was another guy, there was Russell Merridew and a guy by the name of Mike Watts. And they contacted me and said, we're just watching you on the Big Breakfast show.
Oh, yeah.
And we're about to open a museum in the city of Bath called the Impossible Micro World.
No. That's built for you, that is, mate.
Talk about fate, talk about synchronization.
Yeah.
And then he says, we're about to exhibit a guy by the name of Manuel Lusa. He's a Spanish micro artist.
Oh, okay.
So we want to collaborate, you and him together, and do an exhibition.
I bet you were like competition, you know, right? Did you think of him as competition straight off the bat?
No, not really, because I knew I was the best. No, it's not that, you know, I knew what I was just, I knew who I was.
Yeah.
So what actually happened, you know, they flew me over to Jersey. You know,
nice.
Russell came from all the way from Dorset in Poole and picked me up and said, I'm going to take you to my house, and then from there we can go to Jersey. No, we went on the ferry. That's right, on the ferry. Went over to Jersey and then got off at the other end and went to Centellia. Then the guy himself came to pick us up in his Rolls Royce, drove us to this big, beautiful house. I'm like, I said to myself that minute, I went, something's happening here now.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I don't need to read anymore. I don't need to write no more.
Yeah.
So then he said, look, he said, I saw your work. That's why I brought you over here. And he says, what I want to do, I'm going to invest £1 million in you.
No way.
I'm like,
what the hell's just happening? Yeah.
So I'm now seeing if the alarm clock's going to go off.
Thought he was dreaming, mate. Yeah.
I'm like,
trying to keep it cool.
I can't believe this. No, mate, I'm thinking, I'm trying to think, is this really happening to me? You know what I mean? I'm a very humble man anyway. I'm thinking, And then he started saying, look, what we intend to do is a place called Monmouth Street, right? And he says, across the road from the Theatre Royal. And I've gutted the whole building now. And, you know, we're going to open up this museum called the Impossible Micro World, and feature you and this Manuel Lusa guy. So what had happened, you know, a few weeks after that, you know, I used to go up to Jersey quite a bit, you see. I used to stay at his place, you know. Sometimes he'd just show off, put me up in a nice hotel, you know, and I'd be like waking up in the morning thinking, wow.
Yeah.
And I'd be looking at the flat where I used to live and thinking, you know, the transformation from all that.
Yeah.
Yes. And then what happened, some months later, they got this place gutted out and got all these microscopes put in there and these domes and stuff all in those brochures and stuff like that. There was a sort of a merchandise type of stuff in there.
Yeah.
And, it was like for the tourists, you see, to come along, all the microscopes were all lit up with nice little lights and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had quite a few sculptures in there that was, I had a little bird perched on the end of an eyelash.
No way.
I had a camel in the eye of a needle.
I saw that one, yeah.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And quite a few, And then what actually happened when the museum opened up, Lionel Blair came to open it up.
Oh, right.
Lionel Blair came along and a couple more celebs, and we had a great night, a party scene, it was great, and then it was like cutting the ribbon to open it up, and
nice.
And then everybody went in to have a look, and I could hear them going, "Fucking hell, bloody hell,
yeah,
fucking hell, oh, what the fuck," all that swearing, which was good.
Yeah.
Shit, every single swear word in the book as I was looking through the microscope. And then I knew then that something big was going to happen with something small.
Yeah,
because then
like what your mum said,
came over to me and he went, "Darling, darling, darling, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Your work's such amazing, darling, darling." And it was like, there it was, and the exhibition went on, and it won Specialist Museum of the Year.
No way.
While I was there, I had a call from this morning, Richard and Judy.
Oh, nice, man.
And then I was on the Richard and Judy show.
Yes.
Talking about my work. Before I knew it, I had people commissioning me to do stuff.
Wow.
And then I was, I did a little tour, just a slight tour of it, not too much. One at Covent Garden. I kept that one at City of Bath. And then it was like, I was getting calls to go on TV program, Blue Peter, Big Breakfast Show, 3 times, This Morning 4 times, Blue Peter. I was on the Glory Honeyford show. And then you know what happened? My work got smaller, my name got bigger.
Yeah, like your mum said.
And then before I knew it, I did a tour around the UK, and I started to sort of pack the place out with people coming to see what I did.
Yeah.
And this woman came over to me and she says something that stayed in my head. She said, "Your work isn't art, it's better than art."
Wow.
And then she just walked away, and I was like, the tears come down my eyes, I was like,
oh, wow.
And then one exhibition, this big guy walked in, right? When he walked in, right, blocked out the sunlight. He was that big.
Yeah.
His shoulders are out there. And I went, "All right." And he went, "Hi, how you doing? How you doing?" And there was a guy called Joe Egan.
Oh, yes.
And he's Mike Tyson's
training partner, yeah.
Training partner. And he walked in.
No
And
way.
his shoulders are out there. Honestly, he looks like a pit bull on steroids. And he was looking down the microscope. I heard him go, "Fucking hell. Fucking hell." Each time he looked through his microscope. And he looked at me, right, with a squinted face. And he says, "I've never been knocked out in my life until I've seen your work."
No
Hey.
way. So you've had some lovely
Shook my hand and
compliments.
gave me a hug.
Even Mike Tyson couldn't knock him out, but you did.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
You get him on your podcast, he'll tell you.
Yeah, I will do, mate. I will do.
Right? And he
Yeah.
gave me a hug.
I'll ask him.
Fucking hell. It was like, before I knew it, I was like, I did an exhibition at Covent Garden. I did one at Dorset in Poole. I did one at Southend and Sea. I did one at, Nottingham. I started to tour around the country.
Yeah.
Manchester, Leeds.
When did you hit America? Because you got...
Right, well, actually, what happened after that, right? What happened after that? I had another call through a letter, and it was from Buckingham Palace.
Oh, okay.
Nominating me to receive the MBE.
Yes, mate.
No way,
Nice.
mate.
That's crazy. What the hell? Was it all like gold, like gold edged, like letters and stuff with?
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Like a scroll.
Did you take?
Yeah, that's it.
Did you go with your mum, Willard? Did you take your mum?
Receive an MBE for your services to art because of what you do. I was like,
Jesus.
Made it.
And listen, when I went down to that palace, 2007, and I got my suit on, and I went to Buckingham Palace, went to the gates, right? And at the time, what actually happened, while I was with Alan Debbie and all them lot, this guy contacted me by the name of David Lloyd.
David Lloyd.
David Lloyd?
Remind me.
Maybe by face.
The gyms, Lloyd's of Leisure, the gyms, David Lloyd gyms.
No. Oh, hang on. No, Lloyd. Yes, but it's just Lloyd, isn't it? The gyms.
David Lloyd.
Yeah, but it's just they've just call it Lloyd, don't they?
Yeah,
the actual...
David Lloyd's. Yeah. It's quite famous.
I've seen that. I've seen the equipment, but not so much the gyms. I've seen the equipment.
Yeah, well, David Lloyd is like a billionaire. He's like a entrepreneur. He was the first to bring the leisure industry to the UK.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, David Lloyd. You know.
Yeah.
So he contacted me, and he said, I want to buy some work off you.
That was after your MBE.
Let me have a look at David Lloyd.
So he spent, just before I got my MBE, so he took me over and he bought me out the contract, and he spent a few million.
Jesus.
Shit.
And I was like, couldn't believe what was happening. He took me to his house in London. I was like, here I am. Now, he took me to Buckingham Palace. When I got there, I remember seeing the red carpet, seeing everybody standing outside the gates, and the gates opened up, and I saw Ricky Hatton.
Oh, yes,
yeah, Ricky Hatton, yeah.
I saw Rod Stewart and a few more.
Wow.
And I went up to Ricky Hatton, shook his hand. I said, Ricky, I'm a big boxing fan. I admire your boxing skills, man. I've got to shake your hand. And he gave me a big hug. And he says, what are you getting yours for? I said, making sports cultures. Yeah, I know you. I know your work. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I was having a good chat with Ricky Hatton and Rod Stewart.
Should make little mini boxing gloves.
Yeah. And I remember, going through, I was in the Derby Courtyard way, and then all back into the area where everybody sits down, the hall area, with all the chandeliers and stuff, and everyone waiting, and I could hear them nominating, calling them out.
I bet your heart was racing,
Rod
mate.
Stewart, services to music, and Rod Stewart came. So Ricky Hatton, services to sport, and Willard Wigan.
Oh, fucking hell, mate. You must be going, oh, shit.
I'm like...
Made it.
Yeah.
Completed it, mate.
Yeah, completed
it. Prince Charles came home to me and says, your work was absolutely amazing.
It's actually King Charles now.
Oh, he's actually the king.
Yeah, the king now, man.
Yeah, Prince Charles says to me, he said, I've never seen anything as small. How do you make this work? And I told him, just quickly, and he says, well done. Shook my hand like that. And he gave me my envy. I walked back and I sat down. And while I was walking down that red carpet, I looked at that red carpet and I said to my school teachers, thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to what we said at the beginning when you said you could prosecute, and that's down to you. But, looking back at that now, you look down that carpet and you just thought that. I think that's your answer right there.
Yeah.
Well, you see, that's it. That answered it, every question, But from there, it was like I knew it's like having a key that was so small, it opened up the biggest door in the world. And beyond that door, was my destination.
Yeah.
That was it. So because of that, then from there, I started to evolve, you see. I bought a bigger microscope.
Yeah.
And I started to evolve in my own tools. And then I started training my body to breathe. I was already doing it anyway, but I started to evolve in my breathing. Then my breathing techniques got better. Then I started to make smaller tools.
What do you do? Sorry. What do you do then with your breathing? Walk us through how you, because this is what the whole story of what you've done is just absolutely fascinating. But I think because it's such a physical feat that people can't comprehend, what is it that you actually go through to get you in that zone? Because there's I can't remember what they call it, but there's that state, isn't there, where you go into sort of a massive focus mode, Yeah.
Like the Wim Hof stuff, isn't it?
Well,
Where
yeah.
you slow down your heartbeat. And
Yeah. But it's like that sheer concentration focus you must go into. What happens to your breathing? What happens to your heart? What do you do? And how have you sort of learnt these things?
Well, you see what it is, guys. When I'm working on this level, this molecular level, one thing that's very important is your dexterity, right? If you don't have the right dexterity, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And if you don't work between your heartbeats, it's not going to happen, right? Because your pulse is like a jerking action underneath the microscope.
Yeah.
When you look underneath the microscope, your fingers are moving like that. So what I've learned to do was to breathe in and then breathe out slowly. Then I could feel my heart pumping.
Yeah.
And when it stops, I was working in between when it stops, I work in between the beat.
Yeah. It's like when a sniper fires a gun, they go...
Yeah, that's it.
Bang.
Because what's actually happening, as you're working away, when it stops, then you move.
Yeah.
Then move. So you have about 1.5 seconds to move in between the beat.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you start to make stuff on a molecular level, now I'm making stuff like 3, 6, 7, 8 microns smaller.
Fucking hell.
Right?
It must be exhausting as well.
Mentally.
No, like holding your breath and like breathing out and then doing a bit of work. Like you must be
you see
exhausting.
what actually happens when you're working on this molecular level, right? I don't get any pleasure because it's painstaking.
I've heard that in interviews with you before. You actually say you don't enjoy doing it until it's finished.
Yeah, it's hard to enjoy it because what you do, you see the finish. You see the finish before you start. You have to see yourself finishing it because it's driving you mad. You see.
Yeah.
So what I do is that as I'm working away, I may sit around the microscope like that for quite some time, for a long time.
Your back muscles, your neck muscles.
Yeah, that's it. So you're there and you're working, and then you get static electricity, all external forces start to interfere. You get tiddlywinks on steroids, things jumping everywhere.
Oh man, with the static, and then think about that.
The static electricity is driving you mad. So, you're in a world where you don't really want to be sometimes.
Yeah.
Then you see the end result, and that's the pleasure you see. So one time I was working on a piece, right? Imagine this. I was working on Cinderella's carriage, which would have been the best thing I've ever done. Right? So imagine I'm down the microscope like that working away. Okay? And I cut out, this carriage is actually constructed together, right, out of microscopic fragments of gold.
So the wheels actually turn.
Well, look, if you touch them, they would. If you pull them, because I made little axles to go through the wheels and the spokes. I mean, you've seen the Queen's carriage. You've seen it.
Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
The Eye of a Needle, which you have.
Yeah.
Your listeners will be able to see that. Your viewers will
I'll
be able
pop it
to
up
see
on
that.
the screen. Yeah.
So as I'm working away, right, each wheel has to be made individually and then put on, right? So here's me working away like that, working away. Then all of a sudden something, static electricity just got click, right? And you don't know where it is. And then you find out it's stuck underneath the lens of the microscope.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
So you have to take the lens off the microscope and put the lens underneath another microscope, look down, get an eyelash, dip the eyelash into linseed oil, and then lift it off, and then bring it back, screw the lens back onto the microscope, and go back to where you were.
Jesus.
And make sure that you didn't disturb the rest of it. So what I did, I built this carriage, right? It was absolutely perfect. And a fly flew underneath the microscope, a little fly, and the breeze from the fly's wings blew the whole thing away.
Oh my God, man.
I'm sorry for laughing, but I'd be like, fucking fly.
Yeah, imagine
nuts.
that. I mean,
Listen.
surely you must have, couldn't you sort of build yourself almost like a container that you work in? Like not an airtight, but obviously.
Just like a little box around the microscope bit.
Well,
that's
difficult because you get this flaring action because when you look through the microscope, the shimmering, it starts to shimmer. And there's a thing called depth of field.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that you're close enough So you need working distance.
What I'm talking about is a room, like a studio, a sound studio.
Room, sorry, like a room, like a sort of.
Yeah, you in a room, like sort of
like a clean room.
That's it, mate. Yeah, like a clean room type of thing where nothing can get in. Like one door opens, you walk in, that door closes, another door opens, so no flies, insects can get in. It's an ambient temperature. It's not moist. Do you know what I mean? It's.
Yeah. Well, you see what actually happens sometimes. Sometimes, it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes you may see like a bit of fluff float by.
Yeah.
But that's not really detrimental to it.
Right.
I've even inhaled some of my own work.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Wasn't it Alice? Didn't you inhale Alice?
Yeah. I inhaled because I was working away and my mobile phone went off and I went, who the hell's... And
oh my God,
that's crazy.
Inhaled it,
And these take you. I'm guessing these take you like week to make, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Well, what I normally do, guys, I work on 6 or 7 at a time for about 9 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So if I work on one too long, my attention span goes.
I was going to say.
So I have to find a fresh start.
Yeah.
To keep the sort of the momentum, because I don't. Because what happens, you start to feel a little bit
dizzy,
drained.
Yeah,
you're not happy doing it. So you have to find something new. If you find, like, I was working on a nursery rhyme scene, there's Humpty Dumpty, Little Miss Muffet, Mary, and I worked on it. One, then another, then I felt a lot better.
Yeah.
But what happened? Sometimes you get tired. So I remember I got a bit fatigued, tired.
Eye strain.
Yeah, all types of stuff. And then I came back the next day and I noticed Humpty Dumpty had a dress on.
Oh, that's probably pretty
good. Oh, God, yeah. Hey, do you have like 20/20 vision?
No, my vision is okay. I mean, it's not the best because I'm now 65. It doesn't matter because when you look down the microscope, you can still see.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to say as well, it made me laugh actually. Have you insured your hands?
Yeah, my hands are insured.
Yeah, because it made me think of. Can you remember that film Paul, when they find the alien?
I've only seen like the first 20 minutes of that.
Right. So basically, in that film Paul, right, it's a comedy where they find this alien, and then later on in the film, can you remember Mulder from the X-Files?
Yeah.
He's this hand model.
Oh, is he?
And he's like, oh my God, it's the world's famous hand model. And he comes along, he's got like this glass box over his hand just to keep it sort of like clean. And
nice.
I imagine you like that. When you go to bed, you have to keep your hands all sort of, safe.
What actually happens, right? You see, with this work, you've got to make each individual tool different. Sometimes they vary. You have to make like a tool that's, imagine like, say, a bee sting.
Yeah.
Right? The point of the bee sting. You've got to make tools thinner than that with like little split at the end. So they're like microscopic tweezers to hold things and manipulate things. Sharpen an acupuncture needle so sharp that you can't see the point.
Yeah.
No
and then it's bent into a little hook and then that holds and you manipulate stuff and you're cutting and you're twisting things.
So you make those tools, right?
Yeah, you make them. Yeah, you can't buy that. No way.
No.
That's what I was going to ask you, Willard. Like, when you make things out of gold, when you carve stuff out of gold, like what sort of tools do you use to make stuff out of gold? And what do you use to glue bits together? Like if you wanted to put a wheel on an axle, do you glue it or?
You're not gluing it. You're pressing bits of gold around other bits of gold. So what you're doing, you kind of
like welding.
No, you're not welding.
Is it because it's so small, Willard, like a few microns, that you can squeeze it together?
That's it.
Like, yeah.
You're squeezing it together to hold it together.
Right. So it's almost like a clay because it's so small, yeah? You can squeeze it.
You get microscopic bits of gold and they bend around one another.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of hold. If you cut little incisions, you can push them together and they stay where they are.
Unbelievable.
And if you're going to attach it to something, you can just throw a tiny little bit of a magnet in there.
Okay.
A
broken piece of rare earth magnet, it'll stick to where it is.
No way. Imagine getting that wrong and your magnet just goes, pa-ding.
Yeah.
There's one more question. I can't forgot it. I've just forgot it.
There's another tool which holds it in position, right? And then there's another tool which manipulates it. So when you've made all the wheels, right, you've got to push them on, put them on. And when you're trying to push them on, they start jumping.
All right.
Yeah.
So I could be stuck like this for about 4 hours just trying to get one wheel on.
Jesus.
Because the other thing I was going to say as well is that you've actually, I think people might underestimate, you've actually got two talents. You know, the first one clearly is working at that level, getting something so small. But the other one is, fortunately, you've actually got an artistic talent, because it's okay doing something that small, but the actual models that you do are so, like, I saw a bird that you did, which is unbelievable. And also there's another one that you did, which is it's known to be the hardest thing to draw. It's a horse.
Oh,
a horse is the hardest thing that anybody can draw.
The horse and rider.
Yeah.
I'll say this to you now. That is the hardest thing I've done.
Right. I was going to say the horse, because
not the long, the cripplingest, hardest. The dragon was the longest, but not the hardest.
Right.
The horse and rider is the hardest.
Yeah. Because if you don't get a horse right, it looks weird as shit.
And you saw the man on the horse.
Yeah.
The horse.
Yeah.
Right. That is the hardest.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get the proportion of the horse right.
Yeah.
You've got to get the legs, the hooves,
the
reins on the horse, and the muscles on the horse's body, the actual the eyes got to be in the right place.
Yeah.
It's got to be proportioned so it doesn't look disproportioned.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Right. A lot of people can't draw horses. That's one thing people cannot draw, because they're very tough to draw. Yeah.
When you work on a molecular level, this doesn't forgive you. So if you make a mistake, you can't. If you paint it too much, you can't wipe that paint off.
Yeah.
It's
right.
fucked.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I've done sculptures, I've added too much paint. The head looks like
a blob.
A dinosaur's head or Humpty Dumpty's head. It's gone really big. And you just scrap it. You think, fuck it, do it again.
Because that's the other thing, is the paint as well. Because if you look at paint through a magnifying glass, it's, you know, if you just get green, you know, when you're bringing it down to that molecular level, even the pigments in the green paint are going to be too big.
That's right. So what you do, Ben, there's a knack to that. What I do, I normally grind it down, put it on a slide, little ball bearing, and I just keep rubbing it.
No way. He grinds down the paint to make smaller fucking molecules.
This is what I'm saying, mate. This is why it's really important to hear.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah, that's why it's really important for people to hear that, because, you know, to somebody just go, oh yeah, fucking hell, that's really small. You don't understand what it actually takes to do something like that, you know? And
incredible, man.
And the hurdles you have to jump over just to get what you want to get in from your head into that sort of like that piece. You know, it's incredible.
You see, guys, when you're working on this level, right, what's actually happening, right? It's playing havoc with you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's driving you mad. So you have to train your attention span. You've got to train it.
Yeah.
Because it's your attention span that's going to help you do it. It doesn't matter how much attention span you have. It don't mean you've got to have the ability of the skill set to be able to create stuff on a molecular level. You have to be a dead man working, because your body has to be dead while you're working. You're not there anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just. I remember once I was working in this very spot here. I'm working away, and all of a sudden I heard a noise go, thud, bang, and I opened my eyes and I saw carpet.
Oh, you'd passed out, like,
oh shit,
falling on the floor, fainted.
I slowed my whole system down so much I passed out.
Bloody hell, mate!
Well, I thought, what the fuck's this carpet doing on the wall?
Jesus. And did you naturally manage to lower your heart rate, or did you read like?
Let's explain something to you, right? If somebody says to you, "There's a tiny little butterfly in that table,"
I
want you to pick him up, but don't hurt him. You'd automatically go.
Yeah.
You would slow your body down to do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Or you put your finger down, thinking it'd crawl onto your finger.
Yeah.
But you said, pick him up, but don't hurt him. I don't want to hurt him, and he's like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's about 100 times, thousands of times more than that.
And I suppose if you're looking for a microscope and your heartbeat is like moving your finger a lot, that your heartbeat is going to be your main focus in it, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe it's easier to focus on your heartbeat than to get it to try and slow down and control your breathing. And
in your finger, there's a pulse.
Yeah.
But if you put your fingers together, you will feel a pulse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, and that pulse is that can be, it can either work for you or against you.
What's the toughest material to use? I would imagine you need something fairly solid.
I'll tell you that one of the most, when I carved Mount Rushmore from a grain of sand.
Just that sentence alone is Mount Rushmore and a grain of sand.
That,
no, I haven't seen that, mate.
Well, you should get it up. Mount Rushmore and a grain of sand. And if
we'll
you
put
put
that on the
Mount
screen,
Rushmore on
man.
the other needle, you'll get it up.
We'll put it on the screen.
And then you can talk about it. It'll come straight up. Willard Wigan's Mount Rushmore and the other needle. And you watch close up and have a look.
The thing that amazes me with you, Willard, as well, is like the ability to carry on. So you must work for weeks on a model or a sculpture, and then it just
even the trees.
What the fuck?
Fucking, and like it tells you how small it is when the eye of the actual needle eye has got massive amounts of impurities.
Yeah,
you know, the actual needle looks like it's cut out shitly. You know?
Fucking hell, and you've got the trees in there as well, Willard.
Man.
To give it a bit of scale.
Let me just tell you something, guys. That is smaller than a full stop in a newspaper, the whole lot.
No way.
Fuck.
Right? Now, that was a piece of grain of sand, right?
Yeah.
So what I did, I found this grain of sand, and a friend of mine is a microsurgeon. He gave me a tiny little syringe.
Yeah.
So I've got little diamonds, right? And, sort of diamonds that are not well because they've got flaws in them. And my mate's a jeweler. He says, have these diamonds. So I've got this little... Put the diamonds on there, smash them up into microscopic fragments. And then I'll put them... I
thought the only thing you could cut with diamond is diamond.
No, you can smash diamonds.
Yeah, well, what I'm going to explain to you now. There's a blue thing come over the screen. I don't know what it is. But come back to the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
So I got this my mate, a microsurgeon, and he gave me a very small hypodermic. And I, like I said, smashed the diamonds. I showed you the little ammo, with a little metal block. And smashed all the little microscopic bits. Underneath the microscope, some of them look like little broken, like a bee sting, little chisels. So I insert one of them into the end of this syringe. So I've made a tiny little chisel, and then I hold it, the grain of sand down with a little an acupuncture needle bent into a little circle.
Uh-huh.
It's got a microscopic piece of rubber inside to stop it jumping. Then I hold it down and I use my pulse as a jackhammer, and I chiseled away at this piece of grain of sand. Carved Mount Rushmore from this grain of sand.
So when you say like a jackhammer, right?
Yeah.
Do you have to like keep pressure on that grain of sand and then
let your pulse jerk?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Not sort of like have a distance and then your actual heartbeat is like actually hitting it, making contact.
Yeah, it's like a chip.
Right. Okay.
And you control it.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
I was going to ask you, Willard, if you've got any video.
Like the presidents, you've got to make it look like them.
Yeah. And it does. It looks really good.
Yeah. And this is why I say, like, you're an artist as well. You wouldn't be where you are now as well. I mean, just imagine if you did that and all of your art just looked like a bag of shit, but you could make things small because you didn't have that artistic talent. It just, was your mum, was your dad good at art? Did that?
My dad, I didn't get on with my dad. I don't really want to talk about him. He was no good.
Oh, okay. But your brother, he's also extremely an amazing poet, right?
Yeah. I know. I've got a brother who's an artist. I taught him how to carve on pencils and things, and he's quite famous now.
No way.
Hang on a second. Go on. Tell us about that. I was going to ask you.
I've got a brother called Headley Wigan.
Right.
Incredible painter.
Yeah.
Right. And I taught him to do little carvings on pencils and things.
I've seen a lot of that on the internet and stuff. Is that?
Yeah.
Could that be his brother?
He does chains.
He does chains. You put Headley Wigan in there, you'll see.
What's his first name? Sorry.
Headley Wigan.
Headley.
Yeah. Oh, so he got the good looks then, Willard. You can tell me to fuck off in a minute, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's better looking than me.
That's what I was just taking a piss there.
He's better looking than me.
No way. There, look.
Yeah, man.
No way. Yeah, I can see that now. He's sculpted Jimi Hendrix. There's a Jimi Hendrix there.
Bloody hell. Hey, do you know what I think your next venture should be?
Or is that Prince?
Yeah.
Willard, mate, I'll tell you what your next mission should be. You want to get somebody to get their tooth removed.
Tooth fairy.
Yeah, man. But get their tooth removed, right? And then you can chisel some sort of art into the tooth, and then they can put a resin over it so it looks transparent and put the tooth back in.
No way, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Why don't you get it done?
So you're talking about like a prosthetic tooth?
Yeah. Or even
not a real tooth.
No, because once you take out the root, that's it. It's knackered. But imagine that. So when you do that, you can have some sort of image, like a model inside your tooth.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful, sick idea. That
beautiful, sick
in a nice
idea.
way.
Hey?
In a nice way. The word sick is the opposite.
Yeah.
Willard, have you got any video footage of you working? Is there any video footage of under the microscope of you actually doing it? Because I'd be so interested in seeing you do it, and I can't find any of you.
If you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and say to Kentucky, could you show us your recipe?
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, really?
But
yeah.
It's
a fucking 3D printer. That's what it is, isn't it? Eh?
I'm not saying that.
No, that's a compliment. If somebody says that to me, I like that.
Yeah, but it's only because I'm interested. I wouldn't for a minute think I'd be able to do it.
I understand you saying that. Mate, I understand you saying that.
Yeah.
Because you're so fascinated in what I do.
Yeah.
And it's hard for you to conceive what I do.
Yeah.
So you're saying you'd like to see how I do it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
But haven't you got a school as well that you teach, or you've got kids that go over to this sort of school that you help them with and things like that?
Well, I go to schools and I talk and motivate them. Kids with autism, I'm sort of a patron of the Autism Society. Auticon. I talk to kids. I do inspirational talking. And let them understand who they really are.
Yeah.
Because you see, society has a habit of underestimating kids with learning differences.
Yeah.
See, my mum used to say to me, the diamond is in the dustbin.
Yeah.
Because the best comes from where you least expect, you see. Society will throw them in the bin. But when you take the lid off, see, it's like it hasn't been discovered and uncovered to see what the autistic people are capable of doing.
Yeah.
So they get put into a place where people can't see that they're there until it's open, until the lid comes off. And that's where the diamonds are, you see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you see, with me, because they put me under so much pressure at school and they made me feel like nothing but pressure just builds diamonds.
Yeah, man.
That's what it does.
It's a good way to think about it, man. Yeah, definitely.
So, they made me who I am. So I will go into the schools where kids have learning differences and I'll talk to them and let them find themselves. Because if there was a competition, the best in the world would be people with learning differences.
Yeah.
And it's only because the government hasn't tapped into it properly.
Yeah. It stems.
You know what I mean? It's called the undiscovered world.
Right.
They don't know. See, there's a saying, right? In boxing, the punch that knocks you out is the one you don't see.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Don't have to be hard. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
Bang, you're down on the floor. You're out. You open your eyes and you see more stars than Patrick Moore. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't think it can. And that's why my inspiration is underestimation. Because my work has made the Queen ask me personally to come to Buckingham Palace and bring her a tiny crown on the head of a pin.
Yeah, wow,
I gave to the Queen.
How much do you charge her for that?
I didn't charge her.
I'm joking.
And when you hear the Queen telling you that she's never had something so small that's meant so much to her.
That's amazing.
She has private studies.
Crazy, man.
Unreal.
I bet you were shitting it, right? You must have been well nervous about going.
Listen, I was waiting for the alarm clock to go off, man.
Yeah.
Excited.
And then, I'm in Buckingham Palace. I'm with the Queen.
Who else have you given this art to?
Well, a few celebs have booked. Elton John has one of my pieces.
Yeah.
Well, he has a wood carving about that size, him and his boyfriend, and then his partner, and then Theo Fennell, David Lloyd has one of my pieces. Simon Cowell's got one of my pieces. Mike Tyson has one.
No,
really?
Frank Warren's got a piece of my work. A guy called Nigel McGinnity, who's quite well known. He's quite famous. He built parts of Wembley Stadium. He's like a architect. He bought my work off me. And
what did Simon Cowell get from you? What did you do for Simon?
Frank Sinatra.
Oh yeah. And what about Tyson?
I've seen that one, the Frank Sinatra.
Tyson got one of himself. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Nice.
That was some time ago. Yeah. But
what do you think the obsession is?
A big wood carving. That's right. A big wood carving Tyson got. Yeah.
Oh okay.
Frank Warren's got a small one and a toothpick. Yeah.
Frank Warren's got a small one. What do you think the obsession is, Willard, with micro stuff or small stuff? Because everybody loves small stuff. Like the cars, you used to get Matchbox cars, and then the cool ones in the 90s, micro machines. Yeah. It was like, fucking hell, they're amazing.
Oh, micro machines were banging.
There's an obsession with small things. I love small things, intricate. What do you think that is? Why people love small stuff? Do you think it's nature?
I'll put this on you. Your birthday's come up, right?
Yeah.
Then somebody goes to you, oh, here's your birthday present. And it's a big box. Then you open the box and you see like a little house, but the house is about that big.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a garden there, there's windows and stuff. So it's that big. Okay. And you go, oh, that's a nice little house. And you go, no, and also I've got you another birthday present. What's that? And then you see a microscope.
Yeah.
And you go, what the fuck? What are you giving me a microscope for? And underneath the microscope, there's a beautiful piece of glass. Right? And the microscope is customly built. And there's a piece of glass, crystal clear glass. And inside that glass, there's a grain of sand. And you see a bit of green stuff on it. And you look through the microscope, you see a house, trees, windows.
No way.
And you see a garden, and you see a fence going around the house. You'd go, fucking hell.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely.
Okay?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the big, that there you are.
It's the amazement, I think.
I think it is.
The small one that does it, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you see a tiny insect. You're amazed by them, like you're amazed by ants.
But you can go go the other way as well. I think it's not so much the small thing. It's the extreme. It's the
extremes, yeah.
It's the extreme small and then the extreme big. It's
like dinosaurs. And then
you can go to the States and see the biggest elastic band ball in the world. You look at it and go, "What the fuck?"
It's the extremes.
It is the extremes. And I think.
Well, to talk about the extreme, an ant is the strongest animal in the world, pound for pound. An ant.
Yeah.
And the web of the spider is stronger than steel. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, it's like 4 times stronger than steel,
crazy.
isn't it?
I saw 2 days ago. I saw this this artist that took photographs of insects, their faces. Have you ever seen the face of an ant?
Yeah, I saw it the other day.
It's the most horrific thing you'll ever see. It looks like a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Terrifying. But then you look at the face of a jumping spider up close,
Yeah.
and they look like they're smiling. They look really cute.
But jumping spiders are the most intelligent spiders in the world.
Yeah,
Really?
I was thinking about maybe getting one for a pet, Willard, because you can buy them as pets and put them in a little enclosure and feed them and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Brilliant. Jumping spiders are absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
man.
but my wife would absolutely, she'd kill me, mate. She hates spiders. But
if you have it in a private room where she's not near it.
Yeah.
Have you got another room in your house? where you
not
can
yet,
sit?
mate. But there's plans coming for my house. I'm building an extension and stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's gonna
maybe in the
happen. That's
future.
gonna happen.
Yeah,
Right. You see, jumping spiders. I love insects, right?
yeah,
I love them. I love praying mantis.
yeah. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing things.
Their eyes look like little aliens. You know what I
They're
mean?
brutal
Yeah.
though, mate. They're absolutely
they're
brutal.
proper,
These are
mate,
fighters,
yeah.
Huh?
There's a little beetle called a warrior beetle, which is some insane beetle when it fights.
Yeah.
Insane. And there's one called the. I'll tell you, it's got like a proboscis and it just assassin bug.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Horrible
Assassin
thing.
bug. That sounds
Assassin
cool
bug,
as
yeah.
fuck.
I tell you
Yeah,
what, I
we've
was
got
amazed
dominoes.
at with a kid is a click beetle. Have you ever seen click
Oh yeah, I
beetles?
think they jump.
Yeah. When I
No,
first
no,
Oh,
saw
those
them-
horrible things. Do you find them around clay?
I can't remember, but I found one as a kid. It's about an inch long, and if you turn them on their back, they
jump.
keep still and they click. They go, and they launch in the air.
Oh my
and then
God,
land,
man,
trying to get
that's-
back on their legs.
I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
Don't know about
amazing.
that.
You see what I mean? A lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
No,
So anyway, it's what you're saying.
yeah, I love all that shit, mate. I love it.
People
Well into the
don't know.
nature. I love it.
I'm kind of communicating with you on that level now
Mm.
because that's my world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
like,
lovely.
I've seen, like one time, you see people talk about insects, right? I remember once there was a wasp nest in my garden, and I went and got a stick, and I thought I could just
Prodding
see if I could
it.
see what the wasps do.
All right.
And I went, it was me, my sister, my brother, and I went like that, poked it.
Oh God.
At first, I didn't do nothing, right? And then one kind of around a bit and didn't do anything. Then I kind of went, poked it again, and I went, and they come out and they fuck me up. They stung me in the back of the head. My head was like Humpty Dumpty.
Oh my God.
I had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
But they never attacked my brother and my sister, just got me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, because
So
you were the
tell
one that was
me
doing the
that
poking.
it was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Insects have got more sense than you think.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
definitely,
yeah,
mate.
yeah.
Definitely.
You know, that's why I love the microscopic world. I love, it's like people that don't say anything, right?
Mm.
Or quiet people. You think they ain't got nothing. I dare you to pick on somebody quiet.
Nah.
Oh, yeah, that's it, yeah.
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 I mean, I don't do that, but what I'm saying, I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've seen what happened to the guy that done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
now, all his bones are spread all over the floor.
Mm.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
You know, because sometimes, because you think it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what
You
you're trying to say, mate. Yeah, definitely. It's
You
the
can't
quiet ones
see
you've
it.
got to watch and that, you know? Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's what you said. It's the mystical world of, you know, because if you see an empty room, there's no such thing as an empty room.
Mm.
There's always something there, you know.
Yeah.
There's
You
some
just
little
can't
insect
see
might
it.
be walking in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
No such thing as nothing, because there's always something, you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Hey.
that's what fascinates me, because I was told I was nothing.
Mm.
So now I'm showing.
Look
the
at you
world
now, eh?
I'm the biggest nothing ever.
Do you reckon your teachers have seen you? Are they still alive when you got your MBE? Do you reckon they'd know?
If one of my teachers, right, I would love to make a little voodoo doll of
Yeah.
this woman and stick pins.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
it's
that's how
a
much I
massive
think
fuck you, innit, to your teachers when
I
you've
mean,
got your
not all of them were
MBE.
like that, but a lot of them are really fucked up. You know what I mean? Really
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Bullies. They were bullies. You know.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'd love for them to
And the
see
thing
what
is-
you've done and like feel bad for
Yeah.
how they treat you when you was younger.
The thing is, mate, and I don't say this sort of, you know, as some people do just because they think it's the right thing to say at the time or whatever like that. But as you know, you and me have chatted quite a bit beforehand, and I can honestly say that you are one of the nicest people I've met. You know,
Thank you.
you have got a heart of gold. You think about other people all the time, you know, And even, I mean, like you've been around the world doing interviews, you know, on television here, there, everywhere, MBE, and you've come onto our podcast, and I really, really appreciate it, mate.
Absolute
I mean,
legend.
you didn't have to do any of this, but you
Listen,
did, and I
listen,
really
I can
appreciate
say
it.
something about yourselves, guys. Your podcast is amazing
Oh,
because
thanks,
you bring
man.
out the best in people.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's a good, nice compliment,
Brought
mate.
out a
Cheers,
little
bud.
bit more in me that most people didn't bring out because obviously you need time to bring it out. You know, I do things. I do charity work as well. I've just made the world's really tiny guide dog.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Nice.
Called Daniel, and I'm going to auction it off, and then the proceeds will go towards guide dogs for blind.
Lovely.
I'm doing
nice,
that
mate.
because I'm using that as an example of sight because you can't see. Some people can't see the eye of the needle, and the needle is a tool. And you need to see to put the thread through it.
Yeah.
And that hole there is what you see, and then we see it, you put the thread through it.
Mate, that's amazing.
So good.
See?
man.
We'll have to put all these up. We'll put all these up on the screen so
Yeah.
everybody can
Even the
see.
whiskers.
Yeah, he's got little whiskers.
Anyone who
Look.
wants to
Oh
donate
shit! Yeah.
What are the whiskers made out of?
floating fibres out of the air.
No. Just come to grab them. How do you grab a floating
With chopsticks. What else do you think?
Oh
mate?
yeah, with your chopsticks.
Like this, look.
Ah,
Static.
right.
Oh, okay, got you.
Static electricity.
Why do you think your work's got better over time?
That is amazing.
Because you see what's happened. Every time I do something, I remember my mum said it ain't good enough. It's not good enough.
Right.
So each time in my head, I tell myself I'm not good enough. So I work like my life depends upon it. So if I do something, if I'm making a sculpture, I believe I'm performing an operation on somebody, I've got to save their life. So I've become more extremely
There's another.
patient, and I start thinking about more detail. And I know, so if I make a mistake, right, in a strange way, I enjoy that mistake.
Right, because you learn
That
by it,
makes
yeah?
sense. I just say, okay, thank you, mistake, because you just taught me not to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get better.
Yeah.
So each time I do something, my dexterity is improved. I don't know how, fuck knows how. Somebody up there is watching me.
Yeah.
And then you know, my stability gets better. And I've learned how to manipulate the material that I work with. I've learned to make different tools to hold it in position so I can, you know, create my work.
Yeah.
But what's happened, because I'm getting better, it's getting harder.
Right. Okay.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
It's getting harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've got
Do you think
better.
there'll ever be a time where you just go, we can't go any smaller?
I'll tell you what it is, right? When the time comes, you'll know when to stop.
Yeah.
But until then, I will continue to get better.
Because you put a motorbike inside that's the world record, right?
Yeah, that's the first world record.
Okay.
And that beat nanotechnology.
I saw that. It blew me away.
Listen, nanotechnology cannot beat me.
See, this is what I mean when I said to you earlier,
Yeah,
as the bloody military got hold of you and said, come and work for us.
Challenge me.
Sorry, say that again, because it was just
If there's any nanotechnology out there, challenge me.
Yeah.
You'll beat them.
Well, this is what Mace was saying earlier. Like he
Exactly.
he asked you the question. Has like military ask you? Have they like said, look, can you do this for us? Can you work this for us? You know, anything like that?
Come and work for us, because apparently the military and stuff, they've got
a lot of
nano
surgeons-
robots
a lot
and
of
stuff.
surgeons have said to me, categorically said to me, that you could perform surgery under supervision because of your dexterity.
Yeah, but you
And I said,
could.
look, I'm not a surgeon. They said, look, you know, if you ever did surgery, you know, you'd be
the world's best surgeon.
No, that can't be. I've been to no university to learn surgery. No. But if you were supervised how to stitch a nerve ending, that'd be easy for you.
Yeah.
But it would be easy for me because I work on stuff much smaller than a
Yeah.
That's incredible, mate.
Isn't it, mate?
surgeon. So and my attention span without attention, a surgeon, because I've trained my whole body.
Your whole life's been around it.
Yeah, my whole world.
Well,
is
surgeons,
still.
I think that a lot of their life is dedicated in learning books, you know, and then you've got the practice side of it, whereas all your life is just been practice.
Yeah.
Physical
work.
Yeah.
But there is a bit of a, I would say, there's an A side and a B side. But the other side of me is where I have a little problem sometimes, because my attention span can drift into almost like a kind of a meditation without even knowing it.
Yeah.
One time I was on the train, and I was going down to I was just going to get off at the NEC, and I sat there, and I was just sitting there, and then before I knew it, I was in Milton Keynes.
Bloody hell!
I thought, how the fuck did that happen?
Is that narcolepsy, mate?
You sure you didn't fall asleep?
No, I fell asleep. I was just, you know, because I'm used to this. Like, yeah, look, I'll show you something. I'm like this.
You just drift off.
Yeah, and I don't even know I'm doing it.
Yeah. I think we all do that, mate. We all do that.
Side effect. One time, this is a side effect of my work. Sometimes I was in WH Smith's, and I was looking at this Home and Country magazine, because I was going to build a little thatched house, you know, on a pinhead. And I was looking at it, just looking, and it was about 3:30, something like that, 3 o'clock. Then the shop assistant touched me on the shoulder and said, excuse me, we're closed. We're closing. But you what? I said, it's only 3. And then she said, how come you didn't move from there? How come you stayed there for so long? I thought, fucking hell, that's a long fucking story for you, love.
Jesus. Isn't that like, I'm not trying to worry, but I've heard that some people have that when they have epilepsy. It's a form of epilepsy where they just stare off.
Either that, or their imagination just runs. Runs wild.
Yeah, I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just saying that I've heard that there can be that form of epilepsy where you just, like, people don't know, when you just stare off and then you just snap back.
But I think
but for that long, I don't think it would be. This is more like, you know, for 30 seconds maybe.
I think when that happens, though, mate.
We all have the ability to drift away somewhere else until somebody taps us on the shoulder.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, we don't actually know we're doing it sometimes.
Yeah. But also, I think that maybe it's something that, because you've been doing a lot all your life, and I think this is what you touched on earlier, is that I suppose when you're working in that level, and your mind is so, because your body and mind are so relaxed, in some way, I know it's a physical sort of thing that you're going through, but also it must be a state of just sheer, in a way, relaxation, you know?
The relaxation only comes, the relaxation doesn't happen when I'm doing this. When I finish this, I sleep.
Right.
And I can sleep for some time.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I'm drained and I can sleep. One time I slept for about 16 hours.
Wow. Maybe that's what it is then, mate, because you the mental power, like the mental strain that you're going through. This is like the times where you do black out, not so much black out, but just, you know, time just goes like that. That might be just you like just trying to sleep mentally, because they say that when you're driving, right?
Yeah.
Like, apparently, when micro sleep, when you drive, and if they say if you can't remember, was it 20 seconds beforehand, you've technically been sleeping. You've been autopilot driving.
Apparently, people do micro sleep a lot. Like
you'll
close your eyes.
It is, yeah.
You'll close your eyes for like a second and a half, 2 seconds.
No,
not micro sleeps.
Not closing your eyes. No, you'll be fully, like, you know, driving, traffic lights, whatever, you know, doing the thing, but it's become so auto for you. They say if you can't remember 20 seconds, your mind is in a sleep state. Yeah.
There's another thing, Ben, right? If you can sleep for half a minute and get a lot of recovery,
yeah,
Like power nap.
Power nap, yeah.
Power napping. They reckon 20 minutes power nap is equivalent to like you'll feel fresh again. You can go on for another 4 hours or.
I love siestas.
Sometimes you don't have to sleep for that length of time.
No.
In order to get your body to recharge.
20 minutes siesta, mate. I used to love that. I haven't done that for a while, but yeah, I used to, mate, because I haven't been sleeping too well these last couple of months. But
I tell you what, you ever been watching a film, right? And then you start heading the ball.
Yeah,
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And then you say to your missus, "Is it finished?" Right, finished ages ago.
Yeah.
Put it back again.
Yeah. What did I miss? What happened?
Rewind it.
Did he do it?
Find it there. And then you feel pissed off because she's seen it, and because you're watching, and you've saying, "Why didn't you wake me up?"
Yeah.
Well, I tried to wake you up, but you just fell into this deep sleep.
Have you got any other hobbies, mate, like films?
Well, you see, my hobby is flight.
You can fly as well? Fuck me.
Remote control helicopter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nice, buddy.
Yeah, mate.
I'll show you one.
Yeah, do it.
Nice. Oh, yeah, nice, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I fly that around, and I love it.
Yeah.
That's wicked, man.
It's called an M2.
Okay.
M2 hobby. They're the best helicopter.
I bet that goes quick.
Yeah, if you want it to.
But look, mate, we have to wrap it up. I really do mean it because it's just like a 3-hour-long podcast.
Yeah, it's gone so fast, though, isn't it?
I've actually enjoyed speaking to you guys, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
And, people can always contact me on my website. And if they want to,
we can always do it again. Well, I can talk about something else. We could talk about some random shit another time. That'd be great.
Yeah, the thing is, mate, because I know, from our previous phone calls, we can talk about anything. And I know this. The thing is, I think to get your story across needed 3 hours at least, really. And maybe one day, if you enjoy it, we can get you back on again at some point. Or
we can talk about sports, anything. I love my martial arts, kickboxing. I love, of course, MMA, boxing itself.
Yeah.
I love the discipline that it installs into people, installs into kids, teaches kids discipline, hard work.
Yeah, well, that's what it did for me, mate.
Nobody's pulling out a knife and stabbing anybody.
No.
Yeah, that's it.
They go in the ring, they have a good fight, they leave, shake hands.
Yeah. But maybe one day we can have you in the studio, or we'll pop up and see you, or something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, man.
Yeah, wicked. But what I'll do, mate, I'll put all your links in the description below, so people can go to your website and just follow you on all your social media, because your social media.
And also get them to donate to the guide dog for blind.
Okay, yeah,
Brilliant.
I'll put that link. I'll put
a donation in because I want to raise some money to give to the Guide Dogs Foundation.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, cool, man. Wicked.
People with sight loss.
Yeah.
It's about £45,000 a year to train a dog.
Is it? Jeez Louise! Wow.
So if I can raise, a bit of money, I'm going to give it to the Guide Dogs.
Oh, nice one, mate. Cool.
Foundation.
Yeah. All right then, buddy. Thank you so much.
Willard,
Dr. Willard Wigan.
Listen, dudes,
been amazing.
Really appreciate talking to you guys.